Welcome to Two Brothers and Friends. I am joined here by our guests. Once again, we might as well just call them regulars at this point because Edgar and I have not recorded a Two Brothers episode in a while. We have Eric with us again tonight, as well as Josh. We're excited to do this episode tonight. But before we get into all that, let's get this stuff out of the way. Please like and subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Follow us on Instagram. It's called Two Bros, as well as TikTok. It's the same thing, so you can follow us there. I got some cool little niche content on there, and let's hold on. Let me go ahead and play the theme song for you guys.
What you getting at with the book script? Spit that shit out, man!
Do you want to form an alliance with me?
Absolutely, I do. Good.
Go outside, nerd. Get out. Go.
Oh my God, I did not think he was going to do that. That scared me. That actually scared me a little bit.
It's called Two Brothers. Two Brothers. It's just called Two Brothers.
And
Friend?
all right, well, guys, it's another episode. It's another thrilling Halloween-esque episode. Mm-hmm. We're gonna do our top 5 underrated horror films tonight. This one kind of on the heels of when Josh joined the podcast when we did our top 5 horror movies.
Yeah, it's like my anniversary.
It's almost like your anniversary, dude. How do you feel, Josh, for being on the podcast for almost a year, man?
Pleasure. I appreciate you guys having me as always, and our favorite time of the year. I think it's fair to say that as well.
Oh yeah.
Halloween. That's how Josh started with being on Two Brothers. We did our top 5 horror movies. You can listen to that as well. Edgar, you had a come on. Admittedly, you had a weak list on that one, dude.
To this day, it's a good list. Not just kidding. I kind of
dropped the ball.
Yeah, kind of dropped. Yeah.
Eric almost crashed while he listened to the episode. Didn't you say that, Eric?
Yeah, I almost drove off the road after hearing some of the picks.
All right. Hopefully, this list is good.
I feel like you redeemed yourself since then. I think doing the top 5 greatest
movies. Okay.
You've been doing it. I think hopefully, I'm more worried about Josh. Josh, you're like a little more.
Dude, I'm stressed. This list has stressed me the fuck out.
You're more stressed out about this than the debate we had.
I like all this week at work. I wasn't even thinking about work. I was like stressed about this like list.
God damn.
Yeah, I aged. I aged this week solely because of it.
Meanwhile, Eric, he's like a last minute addition on here. You worked on your list while coming over here, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I actually put together an actual solid list. I mean, there was things kind of going through my mind, kind of similar to Josh, all day, just kind of thinking, and then I let it go. And then on the way over here, I had already had kind of a couple that I wanted to put on there, and I think it was more about just where do I put them in the order and how I'm going to go through each one and try to remember, because some of these films I've not seen for quite some time, so I'm thinking, how am I going to manage to talk about them briefly? So, but I feel pretty good about it.
So funny story. I'm like talking to these guys earlier, and I was like, I've been stressed and going over my list for all week, and then this motherfucker just looks at me and it's like, I just did it on the road over here.
Hey,
I was like, okay.
Some people have been like this. Been waiting for this moment, so I'm pretty sure you had this list.
Yeah, I mean, it's been. I've definitely had it cooking, kind of slowly marinating, and I was kind of just jabbing at Josh a little bit, just to kind of give him a hard time. I think he's maybe overthinking it a little bit.
I think I am overthinking it, but I appreciate it. You are a stud, I think, when it comes to horror movies. We've had a lot of conversations.
Pressure's on now.
Good
High
recommendations.
praise. High praise,
that's why I'm not surprised.
All that criticism I gave Edgar, he might be flying off the road driving home.
Yeah.
Thank you, though. I appreciate that. I really do.
At the end of the day, though, I feel like this episode is just going to be us celebrating horror. The horror movies that get overlooked. Horror movies that are maybe a little bit on the obscure side. Josh has been saying maybe movies that are like guilty pleasure even. So
I think that it falls all in that.
It all falls under that same umbrella, I think.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are listening and you're just like, what? this movie's not underrated. This movie's fucking garbage. You just understand this is our list. Don't get triggered, okay? We want to hear what your lists are too after this episode is done. I would like to hear what other people's, what your underrated horror movies are. So, I think we've said enough introduction to it. Let's get into it. We'll start with our top 5, and then we'll work our way down to 2. We'll do our honorable mention. If you have a few, that's fine. I only have 1 in my list, so, and then we'll talk about our number 1.
Okay.
So I think without further, who wants to start? I feel like we're on the campfire. We're all just gonna share stories.
Damn.
And shit.
Well, I think Alberto and I kind of hogged the mic last time. I think it's fair
That's true,
one of these gentlemen go first.
Let's have Eric go first because I think Edgar's 5 and our 5.
Yeah, we made it to
collide.
be the same. So
How many of our? I hate to go back, but a year ago on our top 5, we did have some similarities. Did we not?
just you two.
You and I, we had. I think we had Sinister on there, didn't we?
We had Sinister and the
Thing. Yeah, we
Okay.
had a Thing on there.
Yeah.
I had the Evil Dead remake.
Close. Close. Because you had Evil Dead.
Yeah, I had Evil Dead. I have Evil Dead 2 on there.
Oh, that's right. Evil Dead
Evil
2,
Dead 2.
and then he had the remake, and then Eric drove off the road.
Yep.
And he's here in spirit, actually. So all right, Eric, you go ahead, man. I'm curious to hear what your number 5 is.
Okay. I'll get this started. I appreciate the pressure. Thanks. I appreciate that. I'm actually going to go to a word that Alberto just used with obscurity. My number 5, I'm going to pick The Ruins. This is a movie where... To give a brief rundown? Yeah?
Yeah, no, please do.
Okay,
I don't think I've heard of this.
I'll try to keep it brief. Obviously, it's a film about a group of... I don't know if they're teenagers, but young adults. They go, I want to say, somewhere in South America, maybe Mexico, and they hear kind of these rumors about these... I don't know if they're Mayan or Aztec temples, and they go kind of off the beaten path to find this one particular one that they're hearing about from the local community, and they end up getting stuck. They approach the structure, they go onto the structure, but they were kind of warned not to go on it, and then obviously it becomes kind of like a possessed, spiritual, weird, things are kind of coming to life, and there's a force that won't let them leave, and the locals in the community don't want them to leave because they fear the curse of whatever's going on. And I remember that there's really no explanation to why it's that way. So it was a very uncomfortable feeling, why is this happening? Why is this ancient ruin cursed? It was very graphic. There were graphic moments. I believe there was a part in the movie where he had to cut a guy's legs off, and he sawed them off to try to save him from bleeding out. And it was a very uncomfortable feeling. Basically, these kids die one at a time, slowly, painfully, and you're just uncomfortable, and you don't really know if they're gonna make it. And I think one of the characters, he feels like he's the main character, and then he kind of ends up dying at the end.
So
and
they subvert expectations.
yeah, so they kind of there's a little bit of that.
Okay.
So that one was just kind of like an unsettling feeling. I thought it was made pretty well. It's not a well-known horror movie. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it.
Is it like a found footage or?
No, it's not a found footage.
It's not?
It's not a found footage. I think it's definitely it's like kind of an indie film, maybe a little bit.
It's kind of similar to that Eli Roth movie.
Green Inferno.
Oh, Green
Yeah.
Inferno. I hated Green Inferno.
I felt like it was similar to that. No,
I didn't
always get
watch
those
Green
confused.
Inferno, but it was just like this feeling you're in another country and you're just trapped, and the locals there are like, you can't leave this. It's cursed. If you leave this site, you're going to jeopardize everything that happens when you leave this site.
I vaguely remember that movie. Yeah, it used to play a lot in HBO. So
Oh, really?
If I remember, the ending is a girl, right? And
That is correct.
She's leaving, and I guess I don't know if it's the townspeople or the people that live in the jungle try to hunt her down or something, right?
Yeah, they're trying to keep her. Trying to keep her on the ruin.
Is it like to
And
sacrifice her or like?
no, they're afraid of it because it's cursed, and they think that if.
I know I haven't seen it in a while, but I know what he's talking about. They go in the top, kind of like an Aztec type of thing, and
Like
they stay up there. And
Yeah, and then they
Just
hear
one by
these.
one.
Yeah, they hear these weird noises, and they
Yeah.
go down in it, and it's like basically like a bunch of like shrubbery, and it's like alive. It's real. It's
Yeah.
real bizarre. It's not what you expect.
Dude, I never heard of that one.
And
I think if you watch it, or like at least the poster.
I just saw the
Yeah.
poster.
Oh,
It
you
still,
still?
it still doesn't.
Oh.
I
was
thought I got
not-
it confused with the Descent. For me for a
Oh, the
second.
Descent, yeah.
I had it confused for a second with that.
It was not advertised well. It was one
No.
of those movies that just came out, and you saw little like teasers here and there on
There's
the
no
television.
hype.
And there was no hype on it,
Yeah.
and then it just disappeared. So that's actually
That's a good pick.
it's
That's a
it's
good
dark. It's very dark tone. This is like a very dark, gritty, grimy movie.
No happy moments.
No, it's
nothing.
not that happy. It's not a very happy film. You watch and you're like, oh god, dude. It makes you kind of fear. Like I don't even know if I'm gonna go. Like you know what I mean? You don't
Or
want to leave
just
your
go on a trip, go anywhere on vacation.
right. I'm
really.
good at home. so that's number 5. I picked The Ruins. Number 4. Oh,
We're all.
Yeah,
hold
we
on.
all go.
oh
Hold
yeah,
that
that's
thought,
right.
Eric,
I'm
hold
sorry.
that thought.
That was my number 5.
Okay.
My apologies.
All right. Do you,
Campfire.
Eric? Do you want to? I mean, Josh, you want to go? Or you?
I guess he wants to go like that.
All right, Eric. Let's talk about our number 5.
Speaking about
Art.
fucking,
You guys have
oh
Yeah.
similar number 5.
Yeah, similar
Just
number,
the 5.
and then from that point, I
Yeah.
think we'll deviate. But this is a horror movie we saw last year when we were watching like horror movies for Halloween. 1985's Reanimator.
Ooh.
We were exposed to this film. We heard a lot about it before we saw it, right? Like just
Yeah.
how influential it was, the legacy behind it, and then we're like, we got to see it, dude. And watching it is just like, oh yeah, we know why this movie's fucking like a cult classic. I think the second one is even more of a cult classic, but we haven't seen it. So, but it's based off of an H.P. Lovecraft
Short story.
yeah. Right? My God, this one is. I didn't expect it to be as violent as it was, but I also
Right.
didn't expect it to be as funny as it was.
It has funny moments. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like and when I was doing research, originally the draft was not supposed to be that way. It was supposed to be more in line with like the first Evil Dead. It was supposed to be a lot more like just straight up horror, but the was that Alexa? What is that?
No, that was Alexa. Sorry, guys.
But the one that we ended up seeing was like there's some humorous like elements to it, dude. Like when he does tries to revive that one guy in the morgue, right? He's like, he wasn't fresh enough. Damn it! It was like the fact that he's not thinking about everyone that's being killed. He's more thinking about just like this one track mind of like I just want to bring back someone from the dead, and like he wants it to be like successful and shit like that. What did you think?
Well, it came,
Reanimator.
I was really interested in like an HP, like, coming off the heels like of Bloodborne and playing the DLC,
Yeah.
and knowing it was based off H.P. Lovecraft. Also, I was like, damn, okay. I guess this guy has a lot of influential.
Oh,
Like,
dude, H.P. Lovecraft is
Yeah.
everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Cosmic horror, that's
And-
like, yeah.
the one that stuck out to me was the Reanimator.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like from the beginning, it starts like from not the get go, but like say someone dies at a school, right? Like,
I believe.
and
so.
he was behind it too.
Mm-hmm.
And then he leaves town, goes to another school,
Mm-hmm.
and it just starts from there, you know.
It just keeps devolving.
Hey,
into
doesn't he
this,
kill
like,
his cat?
fucking- Someone's cat
In
dies,
Razorback
yeah, or something
one.
like that. We haven't. We should have. I mean, we should have seen it when, in preparation for this list. But yeah, I mean, it's. I
And
don't
it's
know why
crazy
not
to think
discussed
that
more.
he brings in his roommate at the time, then he becomes friends. That he's also like,
His like assistant. Right?
no, like yeah, you make him believe in his
Yeah,
serum
yeah.
in a way,
Uh-huh.
you know.
No, yeah, it's Reanimator. I mean, have you seen it, Josh? Or?
It's been a long time. I vaguely remember a lot of things in it, but it was a trip.
What about you, Eric?
I have watched Reanimator. A great pick.
Yeah.
It's probably been quite some time since I've seen it, but it was definitely an unsettling feeling.
Yeah.
Watching the movie, and I loved the way they. I don't know if it reminded me like The Thing, kind of like the way
No,
they.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like that body
practical-
horror.
Yes.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It keeps teetering like between the lines of like horror, and then again, it's like then there's a joke in there that you laugh at that's like very dark. It's just like the whole situation is just black comedy. Also,
There you go.
it's just
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's masterfully done. We have to watch the second one.
It's weird because even sequels to horror films don't
They don't
do it
turn out-
well.
yeah.
And this one's like people say
Consistently, I
Yeah.
think everyone's been like all of them were great. Maybe I don't know about the third one, but
The second
definitely
one.
the second one is
There's 3.
pretty good. Yeah, I think there's was it Reanimator and the Bride of the Reanimator?
The Bride of the Re-
And I don't know what the third one's called, but I know there's a third one, I
Mhm.
think. But obviously the first one is what's most revered among people, fans and stuff like that. So that's our number 5.
Yeah.
It's Reanimator. We want to give a quick shout out to that because that's a good film.
And you guys recently just saw it.
We saw it, last year. Last year
Wow.
we saw it
Wow.
for the first time, and we're like, "Where has this been?" Right, all our lives. This is fucking great. Like,
It's a
and
gem.
as a screenwriter too, it's just like there's just so much to take. you know?
Do you ever feel like when something like horror comes out and then they have jokes in it, like you were saying, does it ever take you out of the element? Do you ever feel
If
that?
it's done right, I think it doesn't. I think it complements it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think it complements the horror if it's done correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's. I don't want to bring up Scream again, but I think that's one of the reasons why it just didn't hit with me. It's just like the humor, sparse as it was, I think, in my opinion, it just didn't really connect with Reanimator. So it's like, oh, this is like they're
Yeah.
really leaning into how fucking dark the situation is, but it makes you chuckle too, you know. So I don't know, just it's a great film. If anyone hasn't seen it, like, dude, you got time, go watch it.
Solid pick.
It's a great
Solid
movie.
pick.
Eric, my God, keep going. Josh, what's your number 5?
Thank you for that compliment.
Yeah.
My number 5 is The Crow.
The Crow.
Just kidding.
Just
Just kidding.
I feel like we're laying down the foundation for an inevitable debate between Josh and Edgar about The Crow. What do you think, Edgar?
Sure.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
So much excitement in that voice. My number 5, 1987's The Gate.
Ooh.
No, also never heard of The Gate.
Never heard of it.
So
No.
please enlighten us here.
So it's about, and I picked this movie too because I feel like it was done during a time where the main characters are children. And the best way to describe it is like the adventures of babysitting. Don't tell mom the babysitter's dead type of feel, right? You know, so these kids are home alone with their babysitter, who I believe is the older sister. The main character is Steven Dorff, and at the time I think he was like 12 years old. And they find they dig a hole in their backyard, and they find a gate, which is actually the gate to hell.
Oh, okay.
And they open it, and all this weird shit starts to happen. And one thing that I really appreciate about it is the demons in it. It's all claymation. It's all very unique.
87, you said, came out
87, man. You know, it's claymation. The horror elements, all this weird shit starts happening inside the house. Zombies, demons start to show up. There is a moment where this giant Godzilla type demon that comes out of nowhere, and I'm thinking like, why they can't do this nowadays, right? Is there's a scene where they're trying to hide from this demon in the house, and the demon rips off the roof to the house, and grabs the main character's hand, and then he opens his hand and he has an eyeball in his hand because they want to watch him, you know.
Oh man,
Keeping an eye on him, you know, and the only way for him to kind of get rid of it is he just takes a shard of glass and stabs himself in the hand to get rid of this eye, you know.
This is children, but
yeah,
a child, by the way.
And this is a child, right? But yeah, it's something that, you know, I've watched multiple times. There's a sequel. I do think the sequel is good. It's not as strong as the original, but it's probably also one of those movies I've seen early in my life as a child, and I just grown to appreciate it to this date, you know. So
now let me ask. This is the one where they find the gate because they're singing like a rock song, right?
yes,
Okay, yeah. So I
Yes.
saw this when I was very young. There's a little bit more to just like digging a hole. There was a band they were listening to that there was a chorus in the lyrics that unlocked the gate, if
it's
I'm
like
not mistaken.
shaking it.
Yes.
yeah.
correct.
So like it kind of, and then there is the part where they're like playing it backwards and there's,
Yes,
like, demon
yes.
chants and stuff like that.
It was a little bit like
awakening
kind of
it.
like that satanic vibe,
Oh,
which
absolutely.
yeah, I saw this when I was young too, and it was, but it that movie felt very real because of the claymation. I remember it being young, being like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" It was a very uncomfortable feeling as a young child watching.
Oh
the
yeah,
movie.
you know, and the fact that it's like kids, you know, when you look at like horror movies nowadays, and that's why I bring up the conversation. I asked the question about like the humor, right? I feel like with kids in horror movies, the Stranger Things, they have to bring in like this like kiddie like humor, like silly humor to kind of like lighten the tone
take
for
the
a little
edge
bit.
off.
There is nothing silly about this. You know, it's really about like this kid home alone with his sister, his best friend's over. They find this gate, and then just chaos starts to happen. And it kind of gives you that feel of what is that one movie, Steven Spielberg's? God, man, I just got a brain fart with the television.
Oh, Poltergeist.
It has that poltergeist feeling to it
yeah.
a little bit as well,
Uh-huh.
but with like just more chaos. And of course, it's rated R as well.
Oh, so this is okay. They're going straight for the fucking R rating on this one, huh?
No, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, they
That's
can't
a
make
good
movies.
pick, too.
Josh is right. They can't make films like that now. Not with the kids like stabbing the eye, singing the verses. Like it would seem very like without that Stranger Things like taking a little bit of the edge off. Like that didn't exist in this.
I feel like
It's
just
very
quite
strange.
recently with Terrifier 3, though, they killed children in that one too.
I just heard about that too.
Yeah.
And I was pretty surprised about that. So I guess I am contradicting myself.
They do, but they don't show
They
it.
don't show it. They show the aftermath, but I don't think they actually show
They
the
show
like
it.
children like being actually actively killed in the film. I don't think.
And it was ballsy, and obviously I heard Terrifier 3 was received very, very well.
Yeah, I don't know,
You know?
man. I'm not a. I didn't. Me and Edgar saw the first Terrifier, and that was enough for us. Just because I don't know, it just felt like it was too over the top. This is coming from someone who fucking loves the Saw movies. I was just like, I can't.
No, they're forcing it.
Yeah,
They're forcing it.
I just
In
couldn't,
Terrifier.
you know. It's like 2.5, almost
The
what?
second one's like 3 hours of just
Of just straight up
3
fucking
hours?
kills, man.
almost 3 hours of.
It's too much.
Yeah, I feel like for a slasher movie, like 80 minutes is like the sweet spot. 90 minutes, you're good. You can maybe get away with 100 and then some, but like if you're going 2 hours, damn, I don't know. Terrifier 3s. Okay. Anyways, moving on to number 4, Eric. It looks like you were chomping at the bit, ready to.
What?
Was he gonna go?
No, it go,
Yeah, we're going. We're going.
They did a
whatever
Reanimator.
they-
Oh, they
Both
did
their
it
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, no, I'm that was a great pick. Great pick.
Yeah, it's a good
You
pick.
pulled
I
that
know
one
that
out.
one, yeah.
That was solid.
Man.
You're doing fine right now,
Yeah.
Josh. You're doing fine. You're not
Anxiety is
exiled from the podcast
that
just
pick
yet.
sucked, dude.
You know, it was a good callback. It was a good callback. I think Josh and I are, closer in age, so that called back to me for sure. So I really liked that pick. And
You said
honestly,
The
so did the
Gate?
Reanimator.
Gate.
Reanimator did too. I mean, that's an older
Oh, yeah.
film. That one called back. So I think those are all really, really good choices. So great job.
All right, Eric.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your number 4?
My number 4
I gotta see.
is going to be Event Horizon.
Oh, almost. I was almost gonna put
Yes.
this one on there
Okay,
too. Yeah.
Event Horizon.
I'm glad someone's putting it on their list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Event Horizon. Look, it's a space horror. It came out in the late 90s. I think it was like 98. So it kind of came out at a dead time, I feel like. I think the 90s, this is objective, but I feel like the 90s was a swing and a miss maybe with horror overall. I don't think it was a great time. It didn't add up to the 80s, the 70s, or the 80s, really. I think it was probably a lull point for horror. Though I do think this film could have been so much better. I definitely appreciated its very creepy, gory, there was a lot of psychological horror, elements to it where you're just like, dude, what the fuck is going on? Or these, and then there was like some serious gore and like grotesque scenes where
like
what
imagery too. That was,
like people eating each other, and then their guts are all over like the ship, and they can't figure out what's going on, and then they're kind of becoming possessed, and is there this portal to hell? And you could honestly say it's kind of like there's that movie Sphere. I guess it's a book, Sphere. It's kind of similar, but it's like they took that movie and like shot a bunch of drugs in it and then made it in space. And I do feel like it helped kind of spawn the game Dead Space, and then we've talked about that.
Just gonna say,
So, Event Horizon, I think I would love to see somebody attempt to try to recreate it.
Yeah. Would you say Event Horizon is like, you think not needed, but you think it's okay to remake that one just because of the potential it had? Like,
I think
remaking it could.
I feel like it could have been even greater. It was one of those movies where I watched it, felt very uncomfortable. It definitely creeped me out in the dark. I remember watching it like alone in the dark, and I felt very awkward after watching it. But looking back, I just feel like they left a lot on the table. But again, it was a very small budget.
But it was also a very unique story too. The idea of like this, I created the first spaceship that has warp drive.
Right. Which has nothing to do with what was going on in the film. It was just happens to be like, I created this amazing ship to go through space.
And it goes into warp drive and it's gone for like a year or something like that. Or maybe
no,
not
I think it was like 20 or 30 years or something.
Was it that long?
Yeah, it was like, it had been gone forever, and they said it was like the greatest disaster.
And then it just comes out of nowhere.
And they're like, we're going to go check it out. So you get that eerie feeling like, oh shit. And so it ended up being very unique, very different. It was not like an Alien or any of those films that had come before it. So it had its own taste for sure.
What made that movie so good was Sam Neill.
Yeah, I know, dude. Sam, he was a great villain.
Yeah,
especially at the end.
He's the main character.
He's the main character.
Yep. Yeah.
And you feel for him. You like the guy, and the guy's a fucking.
There's like the switch.
Yeah.
Where it just happens. Yeah. How crazy that it came from the same mind and fucking did the Resident Evil movie.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say what makes me so salty about that movie is Paul S. Anderson.
He made that movie,
and then he did Resident Evil.
Really?
Well, they can't all be winners.
Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yeah, but how do you go from making like a cult classic horror movie, like legit horror movie, and then you're given like the tools of Resident Evil? And,
well, look, this was a movie that was made. It was not received well when it came out. It did not do well, if I remember. It was very poor. But when you that's why it's cult classic. Because now you look back and you're like, man, that was a great horror movie. Like imagine if it had maybe a little better budget, like a little bit more, resources to just take it to another level. Because the whole concept of the ship going to hell, I would have loved to have seen more of that.
The problem in the 90s though too is like I feel like they were trying to like perfect special effects, and they weren't really getting it. So majority of the movies out there in the 90s, the special effects were just terrible.
They were definitely focusing more on that than they were the narrative portion of like horror films. It was more just shock value, trying to kind of just in your face. And like Event Horizon, I mean, to its credit, Event Horizon really does that well, I think. But it's just, I don't know. What, you got something to say about Event Horizon?
No, you just don't want to hop on because he says it should be, he felt like there's supposed to be more.
Yeah.
And there was.
It's called Dead Space. Then.
No, there was. They made a longer movie.
Yeah.
I think it was like, I want to say 2 hours.
Like a director's cut?
No, like originally.
Oh, originally.
And I think he lost some of the footage, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yes, you are right. There's something about that. There's things that were not in
the
film.
ones that he has, he can make it into a director's cut, and we haven't seen it yet.
We get the Anderson cut.
Yeah, the Anderson cut. But, it feels like there should be more into that story in the movie.
It also just doesn't feel like. I mean, Josh said like Samuel's character is like the main character, but it doesn't feel like anyone is like the main character. No one's like this badass hero, and like everyone just kind of fucking dies, don't they?
No, they get away. 2 of them get away.
Who is it that get away? I
Lawrence
know,
Fishburne.
No, he does not get away.
I think Lawrence
No,
Fishburne
he dies.
doesn't
Yeah,
he?
no, one of the girls gets away.
Well, does he die?
And Lawrence Fishburne?
Yeah, but does he die?
Maybe not.
He just hits the button to
Right.
break the ship up, and then he gets sucked into the portal. We don't really know. That's what I mean. You don't know if he dies.
True. But no, the
woman. There was a woman in a.
They try to do an alien ending. Remember, like
where they go into the cryo thing
and then it's Sam Neill. That's,
yeah, so it never feels like there's a. Which I mean, it's very Dead Space too. You know,
yes.
not the sequel. I mean, like Dead Space also. But yeah, that's a good pick. I was gonna put that one on mine on my list, but.
And real quick, Dead Space did right with their story, their creation. So thank you to those guys. So it was phenomenal.
Have you played the remake, by the way?
I did not. I haven't. I played the 3, and I really enjoyed all of them. Now, I think the original is by far
that's
superior game, but
even 3.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I think it was just to finish it off. Like I was so in deep
I'm
and wanted
in the
to see
same
it.
boat. Yeah, it's like just to finish it. I just got to see it to the end. But
yeah,
I don't. I think I only played it maybe like 3 times.
I think for trilogies though, it did a lot better than some trilogies. It's hard to make a horror game like that.
That's fair.
But is it the first one? Absolutely not, dude. Trying to run from that the regenerating. My god, dude! You want to talk about like next level?
Oh, it's done
thinking.
even better in the remake. I think
I'm actually playing it right now.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Remake of Dead Space is definitely up there as one of my favorites. So, but that's a good pick.
Solid. Thank you.
Number 4 is Eric's is Event Horizon. Kind of glad they got some love on that one. So, my number 4, and I actually just got done rewatching this about a week ago. And I told Edgar, like, I think this is on my list, and it is directed by Mike Flanagan. Do you know who Mike Flanagan is, guys?
I think I know which one you're actually gonna say.
The in my opinion, one of the best sequels to one of the greatest horror movies of all time, Dr. Sleep. Was that on your list also?
No,
Josh? Okay.
but I love that movie.
I fucking love this movie also. It's weird rewatching it again. It's not necessarily like terrifying. I wouldn't say it's like just like all the time just like fucking scare after scare, but it's just a really well crafted story, adapted by Stephen King's book of the same name, and I mean Ewan McGregor just puts on such a fucking performance. He's the star of this movie, like just him playing Danny, and it's just such perfect casting. I don't know, I mean, what is there to say about it? So it's like it takes place, what was it, like 20-ish years more than that, right? After the original. And he's just kind of going through like his own shit. He has like drug addictions, alcoholism, and what was it that turned it around? I think he worked at like a hospice for people who were like dying. And he kind of just sort of guided one person on their way to the afterlife, and that's kind of where things shifted for him. And then we cut to 20 years later, I think, after that, I believe, or 10 years, around there. And we see him, he has his life turned around. That's what they call him, as Dr. Sleep, because he just puts people to like just kind of eases them into the afterlife. And then he gets this kind of like telepathic call from someone else who also has The Shining. I think her name is Abra, and she's being chased by these people. These well, they don't call them human. They're like these things who just like are like leeches. They kind of take people's shinings away and fucking kill them. And it's like very like brutal. And Danny has to go help her and track down these killers, because I think the catalyst of the film is that some boy, the baseball boy. I don't know if they ever give him a name. But he ends up dying. It's very brutal, dude. You remember that scene where they killed it? God damn. I remember when I was doing research for it, they said that when they were doing that scene, the young actor, like the kid, did so well that they had to, like the other people had to stop because they thought they were really hurting him. Just how great his performance was. You can feel it in that scene. But yeah, it's just it's towards the end it does feel a lot like, okay, it's just a bad guy versus good guy. But as soon as they go back to the Stanley Hotel, and you know this too because we saw it when we first saw it again the first time, dude, just goosebumps seeing the Stanley Hotel recreated again. And it's just so done meticulously well. I like that scene where I was telling Edgar this too, that when Danny has to go into the hotel, he tells Amber to stay in the car, and she's like, "Oh, why? Like, why do you want me to say? I gotta go wake it up." And he's talking about the hotel. Like, I have to go fucking explore this hotel and wake it up. And I think he has to go into the basement to where they got like the heater and shit. Like, what do they call that room? Fuck. Anyways, the boiler room. He has to wake it up from the boiler room, and then that's, dude. Just from that point on, I think that's like worth the price of admission. If you haven't seen Dr. Sleep, but you love The Shining and you want to see like what happens after it, dude, Dr. Sleep is just, in my opinion, like an underrated masterpiece.
It came out during COVID too, right?
It came out in 2019, actually.
So before COVID.
Yeah, it came out before
Okay.
COVID. It came out the same year as It Chapter 2.
Okay.
And I feel like maybe It Chapter 2 maybe took away from some of the, I don't know, but like, it's just, I was reading the comments while I was watching, because I was watching it on YouTube, Josh. I bought it. I purchased it on YouTube, okay?
Why, man?
It has the great quality and everything, but the comments, like, everyone was just saying how severely underrated that movie was. It's just like, my God, dude.
No,
So-
I just want to go, and yeah, I agree. It's like the perfect fucking sequel to the Shining, you know?
It's such a great
It's,
companion
you
piece,
watch
man.
it back to back, that type of, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, in The Shining, when Danny talks to the fucking boy in his mouth or whatever, that's him in the future.
That's who Tony
Yeah,
is, or
he's
what?
talking to him,
Really?
telling him to like, hey, your dad's about to go crazy.
Shit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was watching a fucking video on the whole Shining thing, and
Oh,
it was
okay.
They brought that up, like the boy in his mouth. That's how they say it. Is
Yeah.
it's him in the future,
Oh, man.
telepathically telling.
It's just, that whole movie is so good. And then the climax of, I forget what her name is, but the villain, basically, the main antagonist, when she starts to kind of get into Danny's mind, and she's like, oh, what do you got in here? Like, what are you trying to hide? And he's got all these caskets of all these, like, spirits that he's, like, locked away. And I think he says something to, like, oh, they're not like, what is it like? But it's like they're hungry or whatever, and he unlocks all these spirits, and they all like, oh man, it's just such a great climax to that film. Dr. Sleep, that's my number 4. I think it's just
People didn't want it either, I heard. Like when it was coming out, people were like the love for The Shining, the original Shining. A lot of people were like, when they heard the sequel coming out, I don't think people wanted it. They were like,
it's such a hard task to.
yeah.
That's like giving a proper sequel to The Thing too, or to The Thing. It's
Yeah.
like no one wants it, but Mike Flanagan, dude, he's such a great director. Like he understands horror to a T.
Yeah.
Like, if you haven't seen Midnight Mass on Netflix, dude, you've seen
Dude,
it.
I love Midnight Mass. It's one
Midnight
of the
Mass
best
is so fucking good.
vampire series.
Yeah,
And it's
and
so unique.
how it kind of subverts the, like, how it like talks about like biblical like with angels and stuff like that, and it's not really angels, it's vampires that they're like alluding to, and it's just like, yeah, Mike Flanagan. That's why I'm not worried about him fucking up The Exorcist. I feel like he's gonna nail it.
Did you hear he's also doing Dark Tower?
Is he?
Dude, just make him work on Stephen King shit. That's all he does. Is work
He
on,
did another one too, didn't he?
He did a Hush.
No, another Stephen King movie, didn't he?
I want to say he has.
Gerald's Game. Something
Gerald's
right?
Game.
Yes.
Yeah, Gerald's
Yes.
Game. Yeah, oh man.
Like
I
as I
can't
said,
remember
he's
that.
taking fucking work on all Stephen King shit.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
he understands it more than
He understands it for sure. Yeah. Eric, have you seen Dr. Sleep?
damn.
No, I haven't, but I think I'm gonna have to now. That was your number 4 pick?
That was my number 4.
Sounded like his number 1 pick. Right? Jesus. I'm not hating. It's
No,
got me
I
excited.
love it.
No, honestly, I
It's such a
thought
great- yeah.
you told me that was going to be your number 1, so I was kind of like, fuck, Okay.
No, I know what my number 1 is, but no, yeah, that's my number 4.
Well, thanks a lot. Now I got to fucking...
What, follow that?
Yeah.
You'll be fine there. Go ahead. What's your
Let's
number
get
4?
out of here, Edgar.
Number 4 is Evil Dead Rise. But hold on. No, just kidding.
Oh,
I just watched that too.
that's
and,
good. He that was good. I about fell out of the chair.
Yeah, we do have an extra chair in here. You're
Yeah.
about to be...
That was good.
No.
But hold on before... Eric, do you have like a real deep love for the Evil Dead series? Do you not like Evil Dead
Oh, I
Rise?
loved the original Evil Dead.
I
I remember watching it as a young child and just being fucking scared out of my underwear, dude. Like, so that's why I almost swerved off the road. Like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Anyway, just an opinion, but that was good. I appreciate that.
Okay. My number 4 is Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Dream Warriors.
Dream Warriors.
And I had to do a little bit of research, right? This is why, this story was really different from all the other ones, right?
Why it's so revered too, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
Wes Craven, after watching the second one, said, I'm not going to let you ruin my fucking franchise, so I'm going to come back.
After the second
Yeah.
one, holy shit.
And so he was a co-writer for the screenplay. And I think it was a good idea for him to come back and give that revival to Freddy, even though it was just a second movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the story's really good. Like it takes,
It's a good
It takes in like in a mental hospital for young adults.
Mm-hmm.
And well, these young adults that are in there, I guess they're the final kids in the Elm Street, thing. And Nancy, right? That's her name, Nancy. Comes back and helps those kids,
face Freddy Krueger, right?
Basically face Freddy Krueger. But at the same time, she figures out that these kids have powers in the dream world.
That's such a risk.
So that was kind of
to give.
No, but at the same time, that's like a cool addition.
No,
to
it feels fitting for it, in my opinion, to give these characters they're kind of got some powers,
And they bring in like a little bit of backstory to Freddy Krueger's not backstory, but basically where his mom, it's kind of hard to talk about,
Hey man, look,
but
if you're listening to this podcast and you think that you're gonna be able to, play it for your kids or your fucking family,
You got some problems.
We're gonna be.
But it gives a backstory and how he was Freddy Krueger and all that shit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I appreciate the kills in that too.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that. I was thinking the same thing.
Like there's two that stick out to me. The girl with the TV.
I was just thinking about that.
He fucking he jams her in there and says this famous line. I think he says, "You're gonna be in prime time, bitch." Really? And his fucking
Only Freddy, dude, can do
that's where it started. It was improv. He improvised that.
Yeah.
Sorry. So that's where it all started with the bitch thing.
Could I ask a question? Maybe you guys can answer. Is this where Freddy really started to come to his own in terms of the one-liners and stuff like that? Was that always present?
No, it was present in the first one.
Was present?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not quite. I don't think quite to that level though.
No.
I think that one was a little bit more.
Okay.
Like you said, it became his signature thing.
But he was always the goofy.
Yeah,
it was
the
like
original.
the first one.
Yeah, the
was
original, but
ours.
at the same time, he was serious. If that makes sense.
Yeah. It played it more straight.
Yeah, in this one, he just fucks around, right?
I mean, Prime Time, bitch. That's a good one.
And the other
No
one
doubt.
is when the kid has his ligaments, or what do you want to call
his
it?
ligaments.
Yeah,
Puppet.
like a puppet.
Ooh. Oh, like that Kenshi fatality.
Yeah,
in
like a
Mortal
Kenshi
Kombat?
fatality.
Oh my god, that's a
And
good
he
one.
takes him to the clock tower, and he just throws him off. You don't remember
damn,
that?
It faintly,
I do.
faintly
I remember that was great.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
scene.
The kid that was he mute?
Yeah, the mute one. Yeah,
The
that
mute
was him.
one
Yeah,
at the,
yeah,
you
that
know,
was him. Yeah, with
Yeah.
Damn.
And then one was on the wheelchair and trying to break in the glass and screaming, and other kids were running. Yeah, okay. I remember.
It's just cool seeing even these kids taking, Freddy Krueger
Yeah.
in the dream world.
Taking them on.
Yeah,
and
like
shit,
have, like I said, they have their own powers and everything. So it was kind of interesting to see that new take, even for me, because I haven't seen it in a long ass time.
And if you think about it, in a lot of ways, that kind of laid the foundation for video games to come out like Dead by Daylight. You know, where you get all these characters that are they're going up against that one entity and stuff. It's like really it came from the third one. You know, having a cast of not just one final girl or final guy. It's like a final kind of group of people. That
It's
are
really
fighting
interesting if
against,
you look like research that movie. Like I told you, like they had cool, like even cooler ideas for this movie, like for the script.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's a good one, dude.
There was one scene too, and I don't. They all eventually become the same too. There's that one scene when he turns into a giant head and he's like eating the girl. Is that?
Oh yeah, it's in the scene. Yeah,
That's in the third one too.
Yeah. So like I want to say like the kills and stuff because I know she doesn't die in that scene, right?
No.
But she's about to. But every scene where someone is killed or about to be killed, they're so unique. You know, the giant head, the puppeting, and the TV scene. You know, so I appreciate that, Edgar. Yeah, I love that.
Dream Warriors. Good pick. Good pull for your number 4. Josh, your number 4.
I'm stressed about this one, guys. Just kidding.
Okay, but all right.
1992 Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, good one. We just saw this
I just watched it too.
3 weeks ago for the first time, dude.
And
the first time.
This movie wasn't received well, I think, as well. You know, it had a lot of hate.
Yeah.
But if you want Dracula done right, you have to watch this movie.
Sorry, Josh. No, I think it received well. It did money. It was in the what's the fucking Oscars and.
Did it really?
Oh yeah.
Who did it? Who won the Oscar? Gary Oldman?
Yes, I think so.
Oh man, Gary Oldman was
the
so.
score also was nominated. I think it won that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, thank you for that correction. I felt like it's overlooked.
No, yeah,
Nobody talked about it.
Overlooked. I wouldn't. Yeah, we wouldn't say underrated, but overlooked for sure. It's definitely overlooked.
And oh man, it's so chilling because Gary Oldman, he brings such a powerful performance when it comes to playing, you know, the younger version of himself.
Yeah.
Back in the medieval time, to playing the old Count Dracula. You know, the way he speaks and how when he's old and he walks around his castle in the shadow in the background is so
the delay
chilling.
with the shadow and like that's such a great trick.
Absolutely.
Like,
It kind of. Sorry, no, it's okay.
Go ahead.
And even like the when he changes and he's a werewolf in that scene.
Yeah.
What he does to that girl is so chilling and disturbing.
That kind of like, oh shit, that did kind of like take me out of it. It took me off guard for sure when I saw it. I was like, God damn.
And then you also have to appreciate that it has a love story to it, you know, as well. You know, and obviously, you know, how when he becomes a vampire, when he sells his soul to the devil in the church, denounces God, stabs the cross, blood's everywhere.
That's in the beginning, right?
In the beginning,
such a strong
very strong, so powerful. It's so chilling.
Yeah.
Over his wife killing herself, thinking that he is dead, and then seeing her again. You know, and it is such a chilling movie, and I don't want to say it's like shock value or it's just like you're like.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no! I was just gonna say it's just chilling. You know, it just gives you that uneasy feeling.
The thing is, the reason I want to do add to that is I think it's the score that brings it the chills, right? Sorry, I just want to say that because when especially that scene where he's talking about when he's in the werewolf form and what's her name? Winona Ryder's character goes outside, and that's when she sees.
Yep.
It's the soundtrack or the music that fucking ramps it up. I want to speak to a scene that I really liked was when Keanu Reeves' character, again I don't know his name, but he's shaving.
Yeah.
And he turns around to lick the knife. And all that, and he can't see himself in the reflection.
Yeah.
And that's when this character notices, like, hey, what? And then he like like
Kind of
he leaves the door.
off.
Yeah, but like it's so fucking like scary.
No,
Not
yeah,
scary, but like
it's unsettling.
Unsettling,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Every scene, even when Keanu Reeves' character is in bed sleeping, and then the vampire brides
Yeah.
pop out of
Yeah.
nowhere and they're like seducing him, and then they're like kind of like feasting on him,
Yep.
and then he starts to like freak out, and it's so disturbing, so unsettling. The acting is just so amazing in it.
It's just like, but it's also so beautiful, man. Like just beautifully shot.
Yes.
Like the
yeah.
cinematography is like, honestly, kind of unmatched. I don't
Francis
know.
Ford Coppola.
Yeah. He's just, I don't know what the fuck he do with Megalopolis, but but this one is like just one of his finest works.
And I have to say this is underrated too, because we live in an age where vampires are what everyone thinks about. Twilight,
Yeah.
they're heroes,
Yep.
even Blade, even right, and but this is just vintage,
Gothic horror.
gothic
like,
horror.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, you know, and it gives you the roots to like, you know, maybe werewolf. You know, Wolfman is like, you know, the tools to killing Dracula, right? But did he create Wolfman?
Don't know.
That's part of the lore.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I never thought of that actually. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, number 4,
Yeah.
Dracula, Bram Stoker's.
That's
Have you
weird,
played
'cause
the
I was-
Sega Genesis game?
I have not. I didn't even know there was a Sega Genesis game.
We have, yeah. That's how I was introduced to the movie. Was through the game.
I was going to add that to my list. Yeah, because it really is a fucking good film.
It's a good movie.
Mhm.
No, I agree. It's a great film. Great number 4. Number 3, though, Eric. So far, you've been killing it, dude. What is your
Thank
number
you.
3?
Before I go into number 3, unfortunately, I've not seen Bram Stoker's Dracula, and I think I've been poisoned by. I've just never received vampire movies well because I just think there's been so many. They're just not very good, and I
What
what's
was
that?
the last vampire movie you've seen, if you don't mind me asking?
Man, that's a great. Oh man, probably the one with Hugh Jackman, where he's a wolf.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Van Helsing.
Van Helsing.
Terrible.
That's
fucking horrible.
That'll do it
That's,
for you.
that's probably the last one I remember seeing, but I think I've just had bad experiences with vampire films, so I think I've just strayed away. It's just I've never received it well.
They're all bad. You know, Gerald Butler's Dracula 2000.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
bad. I hate to shit on John Carpenter. I love you to death.
Oh, vampires?
Vampires. I do have a soft
yes.
spot for that.
I've seen
Fun.
that. Actually, I've seen that. That one was probably the one I enjoyed the most, but I didn't think it was like great.
No,
that was
it's not
You gotta
great.
take
That's
it for
James
what
Woods,
it is,
right?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, he was great. I mean, he's a great, like, kind of funny. He's got
not
a
the most ideal. Yeah,
Come on,
Yeah.
Padre.
not the most ideal like hero, right?
No, yeah, he is not who you think of as a lead role, but he has a funniness to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just never look. My vampire film experience has never been good. So, but now after hearing everybody talk about it, I think I need
Fingers
to check it out.
crossed.
You
so.
got 2 good recommendations: Bram Stoker's Dracula and Midnight Mass. I think.
Yes.
Are
Okay.
good.
All right.
Oh,
Great.
Dr. Sleep.
Doctors. No, I'm
Yeah.
talking about like with vampires.
Oh, vampires.
Vampires,
Okay.
like Midnight Mass and Dracula. You gotta watch.
So,
Okay, well.
fingers crossed. You know, the guy that wrote Saw, not James Wan, the other guy.
Oh,
Sorry.
Leigh Whannell.
So he did Invisible Man. He's
Oh,
doing
yeah.
Wolfman,
He's doing Wolfman,
which
yep.
looks good. He's going to bring all the original monsters back together.
think
So he's
if
going to do
anyone can do
Dracula
it,
as well.
I
Yeah.
think
Again, he's
Yeah.
the same version as Mike McFly.
Yeah.
Just give him the classic monsters and he'll
Yes.
fucking do
Yep,
something with
I
it.
agree. Yeah.
Oh, we can talk about that shit. The trailer, that was fucking great.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Have you seen the latest trailer?
I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
Have you
me too.
actually seen what the Wolfman looks like though?
Yeah, we did.
What do you
What
guys
did you-
think?
what do
are your
you think?
thoughts?
Because we think it was not bad.
I don't. I want to wait and see.
Yeah.
That's kind of our same
Yeah.
feelings too. Is like we'll just wait.
But the
to see
cool
what the
thing,
final.
no, we're going to be here longer. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, Eric.
Okay, well, that was a good one. I'm gonna go with 1986, The Fly, with
We've
Jeff
I've
Goldblum.
never seen this one. I do want to watch it, so you got to sell me on it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
This was obviously 1986. I feel like in the 80s we were at the height of intricate costume detail. Like a lot of work was put into the image of the transformation of basically a scientist like locked in his own lab and trying to create. What was he trying to create? Who's seen the movie? I don't know if anybody here has seen. Have you seen it? The Fly?
I have.
So he's trying to create. He's got some machine where he's trying to teleport, and he makes a massive mistake and goes in there. But or no, he makes it pretty clear. Like when you go in there, you have to go in there with nothing else, or because the machine breaks you down and your particles
completely clean. It's like,
right.
well,
It's gonna be completely clean. He goes in there, and a little house fly goes in there, and he uses the machine. And at first he doesn't know this, and then he slowly starts to deteriorate and transform into a fly. And it's,
he assumes that it gave him like powers.
Correct.
That it's like making him stronger.
Which it kind of did.
So he keeps doing it.
Yes, and it keeps doing it, and he slowly turns into this humanoid fly. But it is very again, this is like at the height of costume design, so it's not CGI. It's literally like him, and his face is starting to bubble up, and he's going crazy.
That I do remember, just like seeing shots of that.
Yeah,
I want to say, and I may be wrong. Correct me, but I want to feel like I want to say that was probably the last body horror movie up until what's out now.
Yeah,
I can't think of anything that came out because that one movie came out with Demi Moore, which I hear is really good.
The Substance.
Yeah. But I don't remember anything after that stood out that was really good, like The Fly.
Yeah, it was again. This was in the 80s, dude. The Thing, and I mean, Alien was 1979, but it was right on the cusp. So it was all just very simple. So really love the costume design. It's dark. It's just a dark. Watching a guy just slowly
turn into a fly.
Yeah, just turn into a fly, and he is just. There's a woman involved, and he starts to just lose his mind, and it gets creepy, and he's basically mutating into a fly. And to do a quick callback to our Turtles episode, this is what I think inspired Baxter Stockman, his character turning into a fly. The 2012 Nickelodeon series did it basically like that, based on that film.
Yes, they did.
So,
nice.
Huge callback in that show. The Fly, dark. It's almost one of those. It's one of those movies again where you just are like, ugh, that was just an unsettling movie. Like that's kind of for me how I felt it. You know,
the most unsettling scene in that movie I felt like was he gets into a fight with this lady.
Yes,
and then he leaves, goes to a bar, hits on another girl, and then the boyfriend steps in, and then they arm wrestle.
Yes,
and he fucking just breaks his arm.
Yeah, like rips it off because he's like powerful.
Yeah, and his pretty much his fucking bone just gets ripped out of his arm.
Yep.
And then he just takes his girl and sleeps with her.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's a very graphic 80s film. Jeff Goldblum is again a guy that you don't really see often as like a lead character, and I thought he did really well. He was like a handsome guy that turned into this ugly, grotesque being, all for the sake of obsessing about his invention that he thought was going to make him more powerful. So it ended up kind of the tables turned on him. So all his brilliance ruined by a housefly. So
have you guys seen this?
No,
we haven't.
want to.
Yeah, we want to. So that was a great sell, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm sold. I have to watch The Fly now.
It's
a good number 3, man. Yeah.
Then we're doing so good with these talking.
We're doing great, guys. Now let me ruin it for you. Here's my number. All right, my number 3. 2021's Barbarian. How many of you guys have seen Barbarian?
Not seen Barbarian.
I have not.
Gosh. So it's just you and I. Yeah. Talk about a movie that withholds information and subverts your expectations, dude. Barbarian. If there's one movie that you should take away from this list that you should watch, well, actually, it should be my number 2, but this one is like a close second to that. So let me set up the premise for you. The main character, now, please just kind of forgive me, I don't remember all the characters' names, but the main character rents out an Airbnb. She's going to be living in his house because she has like a job interview the next day. It's in the suburbs of like a deteriorating neighborhood in Detroit, but it's at night, so you don't see how terrible this neighborhood is. You just see like this is the house that she's going to go live in for the next few days. She goes and she puts in the code to get in. It doesn't let her in. she calls the landlord, I guess you could say, to try to get in. She's like, what's going on? Like, there's the keys missing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she finds out that someone else is living there. And he's played by Bill Skarsgård. His name is Keith.
Of course.
Yeah. And he's just like, this guy's like, oh shit, like, looks like we got a mix up. We're both living here and blah, blah, blah. And it's set up so that it looks like his character is like the bad guy. You know, he's like the fucking villain, some sort of serial killer or something. And that's kind of the vibe you get for the first like 20 minutes. She gets in there, she settles in. He's being all nice and stuff like that. Like, oh, I wanted to wait for you to get out of the shower so I can pop open the wine bottle and you can see me pour it so you don't think I'm doing anything too creepy and blah, blah, blah. And I got you some sheets. Please sleep in the bed. I'll sleep on the couch. Like, it's just... Everything feels like it's a red flag for her, but he's a good guy. Everything's fine. And then the next day that precedes it, and I won't give too much away.
Yeah, so don't give the whole fucking...
I don't want to give a whole bunch. I'm just giving you just a little preview. But anyways, she goes to her interview the next day. She comes back, and Keith is not there. And she's trying to be like, where is he? Like, what the fuck's going on? And she finds this, like, hidden room that's like this trap room kind of that leads to like this excavated underground tunnel that leads somewhere. And she goes to try to find Keith, and that's it. That's the end of and that's like the first 30 to 40 minutes of the film. So like, what the fuck happened? And then it follows a second character with Justin Long. Justin Long is in this movie too. And it's the same setup. But now, from his point of view, and I'll just leave it at that, because what they end up finding in this house, you want to talk about good body horror. This fucking does good body horror.
Really,
really good body horror. It leads you on. It doesn't give you too much. It gives you a little like trail, like just like breadcrumbs to see what the fuck is happening, and it subverts your expectations so fucking well. I don't think it's been done this good in a long time. So, Barbarian, severely underrated. I think it was, like, underestimated when it was coming out. People were, like, expecting, like, a possession film or, like, some sort of, like, creature feature or something. But when the review started coming out, people were just like, just go watch it. That was their review. Go watch it. It's a good... They give you this initial setup that I gave you, and they're just like, go see the movie. That was it.
I'm intrigued now.
Yeah,
I want to add to that the way everything you said.
Yeah.
Even if you watch the fucking trailer, it doesn't even give you.
It doesn't give you any. And as a matter of fact, the first trailer is of the main character, the girl, and then after the movie comes out, they release another trailer with Justin Long, and it's advertised like it's a different movie.
So the way everything they did, the advertisement and like the story setup, to me it's
and the director and the writer of the film, he said he wrote this. He wanted to make a movie where everything screams red flags, where it's just like a situation where you wouldn't be in, and you're just having to see this unfold before your eyes.
I don't know if it's streaming. Like
it's on Hulu. It's on Hulu.
Okay. Because it's not even out.
There's no physical media for it, so you can't buy it on Blu-ray or like.
Which is weird, man.
You have to buy. You can buy it digitally, so you can buy it. There's no like.
So you said it's streaming though, right?
Streaming on Hulu. So,
Why do they not? Why do they do that? Because this is so new.
I don't know. 2021.
And there's you can't buy it on Blu-ray.
You can't buy it on Blu-ray. There's no physical release for it yet. Like, besides every like interview from the director and writer, there's like no special features. You don't know the behind the scenes, and I think it was done purposefully this way, just to kind of like keep you in the dark. And thank God Edgar and I didn't know anything about it, because it would just, once you reach that point, and you'll know when you watch it, you're just like, oh fuck, I did not expect this movie to go where it's going. Like, it is really good.
No, like you said, the way they set it up, like you expect these two.
Yeah, like, you expect Bill Skarsgård
to be the bad guy.
To be the bad guy.
Then once like you said, shit starts to happen. It jumps to Justin Long's character.
Yeah, and there's like they really do something risky with Justin Long, which is like they want you to like he's the main character now. He's the main protagonist. But there's some shit about him that you're just like, I don't know. You know? It's
Becomes
just,
a walrus.
Yeah, it's
Oh
actually
my God.
Tusk too. But,
No, it's just like Albert said, just watch it. That's the only way you can like enjoy the.
there was a great scene like when she wakes up the next day to go to her like interview. She walks out and the fucking neighborhood is like in ruins.
Except for this one.
Except
house.
for this one house. It's like a hurricane fucking just like overnight. But like because it was so dark the night before, she didn't see how. You know, so it's like that's a motif that plays throughout the film. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing, you know. So Barbarian is number 3. I think that's
solid.
Hopefully, I sold you guys on it. You gotta fucking
solid.
watch it.
Yeah, that you got me hooked up on that one.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Eddie, go ahead. Go with number 3.
This one's fairly new too. I would say 2022, 23.
What is it?
I think everyone here will enjoy also. If you're a fan of Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, it's Deadstream.
Ah, yes. Deadstream. Have you guys heard of Deadstream?
Never heard of it.
Not heard of it.
Okay.
Deadstream?
Yeah, Deadstream.
Okay.
It's, the simple premise, he's a YouTuber.
Oh, no, I do know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Deadstream.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yes.
So you have seen?
I believe I have seen this.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Okay, go.
YouTuber, and I guess his career's kind of pivoting.
Yeah. It's
So he
kinda
wants
going
to
on
do
downfall.
a live stream at a haunted house,
Mhm.
and that's the whole fucking premise.
Yep. And shit happens.
Yeah, just
And he's a non-believer, right? Or he isn't like believing the paranormal.
yeah,
or-
I think so.
Yeah.
And it's quick, 90 minutes. It jumps into the
Yeah.
story and
Such a
everything,
breeze,
right?
man. Yeah.
And it also has those, like I said, the elements of Evil Dead. It has those, the jokes with
The slapstick.
There you go, the
Yeah.
slapstick
Yeah.
comedy.
Mhm.
How do you say the visual effects is not that great because it's
Well, yeah, it's low budget.
it's
for sure.
very
You can
low
tell.
budget, but
yeah.
if you just go in like for the story and the cheesiness,
Oh, you're gonna have
you'll
a great
fucking
time.
enjoy the
You're
shit
gonna
out
have
of
a
it.
great time.
You
Yeah.
know,
It's not necessarily like horror, also, or like scary, but it's really good.
no, like I said, it follows the same tropes as
Mm-hmm.
Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. You know, and that's what I enjoyed about it. You know, that's
No,
how
I
they,
enjoyed it, too.
That's how they, not sold it, but like, hey, if you do enjoy Evil Dead 2, and
You're
all
gonna
that,
enjoy this,
you
yeah.
enjoy this,
Deadstream. Yeah.
and
I feel like you kind of.
yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah,
It's just a quick
it's
90
a
minutes.
Quick 90 minutes.
No,
I
I've seen Deadstream.
Oh, yeah.
I liked it.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was it's a found footage kind
Yeah,
of is
kinda,
what it is.
yeah.
And like to Edgar's point, it's like a quick. You know, they don't fuck around. They kind of get right to the point. And I actually thought it was pretty good. I thought I didn't think it was like super cheesy the way it looked. It was kind of creepy. They had some practical effects
Just
that were kind
practical
of
effects, yes.
some of the practical effects were decent in that,
yeah.
and it was a little bit goofy, but
Yeah.
I actually thought it was pretty good. It was I think I saw it maybe on Shudder,
It's on Shudder,
and it
yeah.
has the appearance like when you look at it. When you go to select it, you're like, that looks like a fucking
Yeah.
shit show.
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
start watching it and you're like, oh, this is totally
decent,
worth
yeah.
totally worth the $6 I pay for this. You know what I mean? For this streaming service
service,
to
yeah.
watch this. Like so I like that. That's a good one. That's a nice little pick right
Yeah.
there. It's a good one.
Yeah. Deadstream number 3. That's good. It's a good one.
I thought you said Dead Space.
No.
You know? It's like, I guess it is kind of a movie. No. I'm gonna risk this one,
Oh, okay.
and I know you guys. I'm gonna bring this up again because this was on my top 5 greatest horror movies of all time.
Oh, you're
Year
doing a
ago.
repeat?
I'm doing a repeat, guys.
What?
Because I know you guys haven't watched this. Okay, I'm risking this because this may be on your list too, maybe.
I will tell you, and if it is, we can kind of talk about it together.
Deal.
How about that?
Yeah.
Deal?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's
okay.
good. That's good.
Prince of Darkness, 1987, John Carpenter's. You motherfuckers haven't even
We
watched
haven't
this
watched
yet.
it. No, we have not watched
Yeah.
it.
So I didn't even know about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this guy right here on my left, because
What number are you on? 3?
3.
Go. Keep going. Keep talking.
Would this be your number 3 also?
This is my number 2.
You want to switch it to number 3 so you guys can talk about it?
Yeah, you start and I'll talk about it because this was my number 2.
Okay.
I get a good transition.
Yes, you start.
I apologize, man.
No,
But-
I'm thrilled it's on your list.
And I never heard of this movie. I didn't think anything of it. Talking to this guy and being a fan of John Carpenter, The Thing, he's like, go home and watch this movie. Mm-hmm. And I just went home immediately, turned it on, and I was fucking hooked. And it's about these college students that are tasked to go to this church and find this portal goo that's...
So
remind me.
No, so what they do is they go to a church, and there is a basement in this church, and there's a
tube.
a canister.
Yeah.
And inside there's this green substance. And what they find, they're trying to figure out kind of what it is. They have an idea, but they're trying to like figure out what's going on. And I think there's some script that they're trying to decode.
Yes.
And they find out it's the essence of Lucifer.
And they're trying to make it all about science.
Yes, it's more of a science
They
project.
kind of grounded in that.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do at this moment. Obviously, Loomis is in it. The guy.
Oh, Donald Pleasance?
He's in it. He
Yep.
plays the priest.
Does at any point does he say, I shot Lucifer 6 times? I shot him 6 times. He doesn't say anything?
But he has lines where he's like talking about the end of days.
Yeah.
Is it delivered the same way as not the shot 6 times, but how he like builds?
I think it's delivered a little better.
Really? Okay.
I don't
He
know.
does bring a lot of tension to it. And talking about Halloween, The Thing, John Carpenter is the king of making the viewers feel unsettled.
Very unsettled.
And this is what this movie does to you. Like there is a scene where the singer comes out. He's a homeless man, and he's like screaming at them. He's just screaming at them for like 5 minutes. And then as he's doing this, birds are coming at him and picking at him. And slowly just picking at him away.
Wow.
And they're watching this whole time. They're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
You know, and he pretty much like just dissolves.
Yeah, he dissolves. It's a very unsettling, creepy movie. They all start to have this. They all start to have a reoccurring dream.
Yes.
While they're sleeping in this church, each one of them is having a dream where they're seeing like this dark figure standing in the church. Like he's very tall and he's dark, and it's kind of, like he's calling to them to come to him. And
it's like a video setup too.
it's like a camcorder in the future.
It looks like a camcorder, and
you don't
it's
really
like,
know what's going on. You know that there's an unsettling presence.
There are people that are becoming possessed, and they're being overtaken, and they're doing these like weird things and trying to kill people, and all this shit just starts happening for the next few days that they're in this church trying to figure out what this is. Oh man, it is. You guys have to watch this. This is extremely underrated. It's overlooked.
Very underrated, and I don't think we're gonna get into the ending.
No.
But there's a dynamic that they put in this movie that you don't expect, and it leaves you kind of feeling like I've never even heard of that concept. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Interesting.
There's a concept at the very end. You start to realize like, whoa, this is going further and deeper into the kind of the lore of religion, the universe, what it's all about, what it means. Like, it leaves you kind of feeling like, oh God, I hope that's not what's going on out there in the world.
Existential crisis type.
Yes,
of
like
okay.
this like end all, be all feeling, this unstoppable terror that you don't expect. And I think it's really the only movie I've ever seen that offers that. I do think there's a show called Supernatural that builds on that a little bit, but I don't want to get too deep into that. But
and the crazy thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, is there's never a reveal. Like there's some climax and some build up.
Yes, it's
but it's just like it just throws little things at you. It
Little
continues
things.
to throw things at you, and it makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then it just ends.
yeah. The
It
way it
stops.
ends is it's this unsettling I've never seen I don't know if I've ever seen a movie that ends with so many unanswered questions and an unsettling feeling, but did it so well, did it so right. Like it was made that
satisfied
way.
Still?
Yes,
You're still satisfied.
Okay.
I don't want to see a remake. I don't want to see a sequel. I just let it go.
It
let
is
it be.
one and done.
One and done.
Sorry to break
one
it.
and
There's
done.
gonna. No, just kidding.
It is a gem. It is. You cannot touch it. It's one of a kind.
You sold me on Donald Pleasance. I think. Watching me because it was fucking.
I had to look it up. Sorry.
No, you're good. Go.
I just had to look it up because I get this one and another film confused. I forgot what it's called, but I thought it was an H.P. Lovecraft story. This one and the other one I get confused, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to know it's not, right?
Okay.
That's why I was looking like, okay, it sounds familiar, but yeah.
What year did it come out?
1987.
1987.
So
Another one.
again, in the 80s, this was my number 2. And I had when I made the list, that was the one I said, I wonder if Josh is going to have this on there. But I'm kind of with Josh. Like, this is on my, like, top. This is maybe the only one of the few that's, like, really in my top of all time. But, again, it is very underrated. Now, I will say, and I'm going to give it some criticism. I'm going to give the movie a little bit of criticism. I don't like the way it starts. Like, the intro to the film is really annoying. Like, you see these scenes with these characters for like a minute or two, and then it cuts back to a director, and then this. So it's I don't know how to explain it.
It's not paced well.
It's not paced well in the very beginning. Honestly, when you if you watch it in the early, like the first 5-10 minutes of the intro, if somebody was to walk away from it, I wouldn't blame them. They would be like, "What the fuck am I?"
It's kind of like a pulse, right?
It's like a pulse.
They
not
introduce
done
somebody, and then it like goes to black. And then like somebody else comes in.
Yeah,
and, goes into black,
and
kinda
they're
that.
putting like they're doing like the
Interesting
intro,
scene.
like directors, writers, costume design,
It
and
felt
it's
like a
not,
show.
Yeah, it felt like a show, and I didn't like the way it started. But once you get past that,
Oh, it picks up.
it picks up. But it is still like a very John Carpenter movie, because if you watch a lot of John Carpenter movies, I think The Thing was probably the best one he ever did in terms of the actual, like how he filmed it with the writing and the acting. But it has like that little bit of like a John Carpenter, like, all right, there's some flaws here. It's a little sloppy at times, but in the end, with the story, the unsettling feeling, dude, it is like,
It was actually critically received well. I don't want to say it did well in the box office because I don't know.
I don't think it did well. I'm sure if we looked it up, it probably didn't do well.
But it's like when you talk about like the score, how it makes the movie, how it makes it feel unsettling.
Yeah.
It gives you like this disturbing score in the background, and it kind of like hits you hard. It's just
fascinating take on cult horror, like cult religion. It's very, very different. Like there's elements that you can relate to with religion, but then there's other elements you're like, whoa, I don't know what I just saw.
Interesting. All right.
What's it called?
Prince of Darkness.
You guys have to watch it. Like if you guys
I think
don't,
of all movies that we've talked about, I think that might be the one I'll watch.
and guys, if you don't watch it, and a year later we do this podcast again, like top 5 whatever type of horror movies, I will make it on my 5 list to remind you guys again. I promise you that, guys.
All right, fair. I mean, that's all right. We got a year, so we're good. All right. Well, I mean, I guess since that was, I'll go with my number 2. My number 2, oh man. In preparation for this podcast, I saw a recap of the story for this movie, and it's still, even just watching the recap kind of unsettled me. But I'm going to go with 2014's Creep.
Good pick. Very good pick.
Yeah. Like I said, there's one movie that you guys should watch, if you haven't watched it, listeners or you guys, it's Creep. Like this movie, I didn't know anything about it. It kept popping up on Netflix, and I eventually saw it, and that was a mistake because it left me like deeply unsettled at the end. But anyways, have you seen it, Josh?
I have.
So you're the only one that hasn't seen it, right? Oh man! So the basic setup is this videographer took like this like Craigslist ad to go just film this guy, and he doesn't really know what for. And then when he arrives at his house, he's not there. He kind of fucks with him a little bit, and then he kind of like just introduces himself. He calls himself Joseph, and the whole setup is like, I have a brain tumor, and I just want to have a kind of footage film for my unborn baby boy. I just want to have a video for him that he can have because I'm not going to be there when he's born, blah, blah, blah. Now, obviously, when you're watching, you're like, where's his wife? Then why isn't he with his pregnant wife? But you kind of just like, you're with this character, this videographer, Aaron, and shit just gets very, no pun intended, creepy. It is very unsettling. So you just kind of see this videographer, without giving too much away, just kind of film him do these like short little like videos for his son. Like there's one scene where he's in the bathtub and he's pretending to like wash his, like, oh, here's what you do, blah blah blah, and whatever. It's so weird, man. It's like bizarre and unsettling. And Mark Duplass, who plays Joseph, dude, talk about a fucking outstanding performance, man. Like he did such a great job. There's a moment when they're like hiking, and because in the beginning when Aaron goes to visit his house, he sees like an axe that's like on a stump, and so when they're hiking, Joseph turns to Aaron and is like, hey, when you saw that axe in front of my house, like how did you think that I was gonna kill you with it? And he just kind of like asks him these like such bizarre fucking questions that kind of just leave you feeling like, oh, like shit, this is very uncomfortable. And then there's like a turning point that kind of leaves you feeling like, oh, this guy is he's a huge fucking red flag. And I'll just leave it at that. Like it's I think it's like what, 88 minutes. You're gonna feel it, dude. You're gonna feel it. It is like such a deeply unsettling film, and then when it ends, you're just kind of left feeling like, damn, dude, like, I'm kind of bummed out. Like this is not a good ending. Like this is just such a fucking bleak ending.
When you talk about like leaving a movie or finishing a movie and you hate the person so much, that guy sells it.
Yeah. And it's just two people, man. The director is in it, and then that's it. It's just two people. That is all. I think there's maybe just one person that's like on the phone and shit, but it's just such a masterclass. Again, I keep bringing this up. I brought it up in the Halloween debate. But if you want to make a good, like, low budget horror movie, like this is a good one to watch, to kind of pull material from. Like Creep is just.
Well, it also gives you the feeling of, like, this is like what a real creep might be in the real world.
Yeah.
Like, there's no exaggerating. Like, I could imagine this has happened at one point.
Yeah.
Has to have. Maybe more than once. So, great pick. I think that's a great pick. And again, this is one of these movies where you're strolling, or you're scrolling through, and you're like, I don't know, that guy looks like a fucking goofball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're like, ugh.
It's funny also you bring up, like, you saw it on Netflix, right? And Netflix kind of forces you to watch that movie, I felt like. I remember
It does. It really does, yeah.
when that came out, I was like, I'm not going to fucking watch this. This looks stupid.
Yeah, it does have a
But then
dumbass
every
look
time
to
I
it.
pop in Netflix, that was like the first thing that was like advertised. And then I'm just like, I guess I got to watch this. Like, what the fuck? And I think it was actually one of the top streaming.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has a sequel. I think the sequel is...
It's a trilogy.
Yeah, it's a trilogy. There's it's a show that's coming out in Shudder next month called Creep Tapes. So I'm definitely going to watch that. I'll fucking buy a subscription for Shudder just to watch it. But it's a great trilogy, dude. So, well, I wouldn't say great. I haven't seen the third, but like, it's just... Creep is such a great film. Great performances, too. So that's my number 2. Better go ahead. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is how can I set this up? I say it's one of my phobias. I don't like being chased. Like, even if there's a section in the game where you gotta run away, it gives me fucking like anxiety, right? And the cold open to this movie, it's still like planted in my fucking head.
Imprinted in your memory.
The way it opens and everything. And there's a sequel coming out soon, so I'm kind of excited. It's It Follows.
Yes.
The way it opened.
Good one, dude. Good one.
that cold open, just her just running to the houses.
Yeah.
Just like, what the fuck is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And the way just then, I think it just goes down, right? And she's laid down in the beach, fucking with her legs all
dude.
fucked
Yes,
up.
Such a
yes.
fucking.
Then it's like, okay, like, what the fuck am I, you know?
Yeah, what are you in for right now?
And it's just a simple premise, you know. It's I guess if you have sex with this person that has this
It's like
thing,
a demon
Sexually
STD.
transmitted demon.
Yeah.
and it follows you, right? That's basically it.
But the thing is, you don't know who it is,
Or how it looks like,
how it
or
looks
anything.
like, or
So,
anything. Yeah.
Nobody sees it but you.
Yeah.
No one sees it but you. Yep.
What a simple fucking premise, dude,
Mhm, mhm.
right? And I didn't. I at the time I didn't know about the soundtrack, and people keep saying the soundtrack's fucking great.
Oh,
Also,
yes.
I've written horror movies to that soundtrack.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
I
agree.
listened to it too. It's like, okay, I can see why this shit's good. You know, there's just a lot of scenes that really stick out to you in that movie. The one with that fucking tall dude.
And when they're in the house, right?
Yeah, and I guess they open the door and he's like coming right at them and shit. It's like,
Or how about the one where they rotate the camera, and every time they rotate it, you're just like watching to see who it is, and then there's like clearly one person that keeps getting closer every time. Yeah. Oh my god.
it's everything about it. Like I told you, it's like I should have looked it up. If that's such a thing of a phobia, being chased
Being stalked.
or
yeah.
stalked. I don't like that. It just gives me the creeps.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
it's definitely it was created in paying up respect to John Carpenter's Halloween, and you know that, but it takes it to the next level of being stalked, and
Right.
then seeing it from a ways. It's funny that you bring this up too, because I was wondering who was going to bring that up.
Well, it follows.
Same.
follows.
Same
Yeah.
thing with Event Horizon. and
Event
Eric
Horizon
Grande,
too, yeah. And that not the opening scene, but early in the movie when she sleeps with that guy for the first time in the car, and then he knocks her out,
Yeah.
and then she's like strapped to the chair, and she's
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck is going on?"
He breaks it down to her. Yep.
You see that, da 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 da. All you can do is run from it, and he's like explaining it to her, and then he lets her go, and even that scene is so fucking disturbing.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
No, that's a good pull. Man. It
Absolutely.
follows
Yeah,
good.
that's a great one. That's
Good one,
honestly, I kind of had it on my list. I changed it for a different movie, and I think the reason why I did that is I'm like, this is not underrated, or at least that's kind of where my mind was. I kind of felt like, God, this is.
Well, at the time, yeah, it was
You know.
talked about, right?
Yeah.
But since now, I feel like no one talks about it. It's like really fucking.
Well, it's definitely going to get a resurgence now that the sequel's going to.
Yeah.
Are
They're
you
making a
worried?
sequel?
Are you worried about the sequel being like? What's your feeling about the sequel? Because this feels like one of these movies where it's like, let's just leave it,
Another one and done.
right?
But,
Because there's
yeah.
so much like mystery. Like there's no explanation of the origin of what it is, where it came from. We know the ending. Like,
Right, yeah.
I mean, it almost feels like you could just leave it. It's like okay, But I
Right.
don't know. What are you worried it would?
Just a little. Like you said, I'm kind of okay how it ended, and just a one-time movie. But the same actress is coming back, the director.
Yeah, Micah Monroe. She's really
And-
great in long legs, too. So.
yeah.
And so like kind of like the original people are coming back. So I'm kind of like, okay, that seems to.
To me, I feel like the best case scenario is that they do something in the route of like Smile 2. From what I hear, Smile 2 is just, it's the same. If you like 1, then 2 is the same thing. That's like best case scenario. Like, like beyond that, I think that's going to be, if they can outdo the first one, which is such a impossible task. Yeah, no, that's a good pull. I can't wait to see what they do for the sequel. So, It Follows is your number 2.
Yeah.
Josh,
Man, that was a good one.
Yeah, really good.
we're
Good
all
job.
on a hot streak. I
Right?
feel like.
Hell yeah.
That was tough too, because like I debated, and it's funny that you say it was on your top 5.
It was.
I wanted to put it on my top 5 too, but then I was like in that mindset, like, oh man, I know we're gonna talk about this. I know somebody's gonna talk about this, So, well, that's a good one. That's a good one.
And now you're gonna ruin it.
2021's The Black Phone.
Oh,
I guess you haven't seen it, or
Keep going.
oh, okay.
What really makes this disturbing is obviously having a kid, and the thought that somebody can just kidnap,
Snatch 'em, yep.
snatch him, you know, and what really makes this movie good, you know, and earlier talking about performances is Ethan Hawke, man.
Oh my god,
is such a fucking great actor. And what's great is he obviously worked with the director in Sinister.
Yep.
So I apologize. What was his name again? The director?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but he's a Colorado native.
He's a Colorado native.
Yeah.
It does, I believe, take place in Boulder. This movie
I think it's
does.
Denver.
This movie?
It's like a Denver suburb.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh man.
Doesn't look like Denver, but it's supposed to be Denver.
Well, it takes place in the 80s.
Yeah, I think it's like the 70s.
70s. You know, and obviously, he's a snatcher. Kidnaps
Isn't that what his
kids.
name is? Is the Snatcher, or what's the name? Or is it the Grabber? I don't know.
I think it's the Grabber. And we just keep talking, Josh. I got you.
Yeah, so he kidnaps these kids and he locks them in the basement. And this current kid that is kidnapped,
the latest victim. Yeah.
the latest victim. Yeah, he puts him in the basement and obviously this phone that isn't hooked up. All of a sudden is
The Grabber. Sorry.
The Grabber.
That's
Thank
right.
you. Is ringing, and it's from the previous kids that kidnapped. That he kidnapped. That obviously
Like
that
the
he
spirits
killed.
of the, yeah.
And again, going back to Ethan Hawke's performance, you know, every time he comes down to see the kid, he's like wearing this mask. You know, and
There's like different variations of the mask.
different
too, right?
variations, right? So it's a full mask, or he takes off the mouth.
Yeah.
The way he talks,
Yeah.
you know, and he's like wants to be their friend, you know, but obviously he's gonna kill this kid.
Going back to like Creep, it's like trying to establish like this like false kind of like, oh, you know, it's like a friendship kind of thing, but it's like clearly no, there's something wrong.
Yeah,
You know?
you know, and in the way he kidnaps the kid too is the balloons. If my memory serves me right. You know, and he gives the balloons to the kid, and then when he gives the balloons, he then snatches them in this black van.
Yeah.
Right.
It's, oh man.
And I do feel like this is overlooked. You can argue, like my wife doesn't think of it so much of as a horror movie. She thinks it's more like psychological, which I totally get. But you know, the ghost element, the main character, the hero that comes, that figures it out, and he ends up fucking killing him.
Yep.
Which is, man,
that was such a
surprising,
yeah.
right? The hero ends up being his sister. As well, and she has like some type of
like she's like a medium kind of like a psychic or something.
correct.
Like, that,
So like
yeah.
all the kids are like reaching out to him, and she like sees visions,
Yeah,
right? But I just don't. I feel like what's great about this movie too is Ethan Hawke refuses to do horror movies for the long. Like he never wanted to do a horror movie. He was like, this is not my cup of tea. And the director talked him into doing it.
Yeah,
And what
speaks a lot to the story. Yeah.
right, and what was so great about Sinister was the acting and the performance of Ethan Hawke. Is you felt
well. I mean, with Sinister, it's like he needs his performance is what really kind of sells the tapes. Like you got to believe his reactions, and he does such a good job. Like I think what was it, the lawnmower one, where he just kind of like just kind of flinches and he like turns like he sells it so well that you're also like, what the fuck did he just like, watch? Did we watch the same tape? Like, so Ethan Hawke's performance in Sinister and then in Black Phone is just like
and then from him to go from that as an unsettled, you know, person to being a fucking
unsettling person.
you know, and that's what makes the movie so fucking good. And I think they're actually making a sequel to it.
Yeah. They call it the red phone, I think. No, I'm just kidding.
It's the pink phone. I don't hear people talking about it.
You know, I feel like the reason why it was overlooked, because I've seen reviews of it when it came out at the time, I think the supernatural element didn't connect with as many people. I think that was a risky choice.
Definitely was.
There,
it surprised me.
Yeah, but it's such an integral part of the story, right? It was written by Joe Hill, right? So
the son of Stephen
King. So yeah, it's such an integral part. And it's just you have to buy into it. If you don't buy into it, then I don't think it's gonna resonate with you as much. You know.
Well, at first I didn't know if I was a fan of that part. If I resonated with it, and then thinking like, what if it was just that kid trying to escape from a basement? There was no supernatural elements. I was like, could it have been better?
I don't think you would have.
I don't think so. I don't think so either. Yeah, I don't think you could have been able to escape. I feel like that's been done before.
Yeah.
Right. The escaping part of it. So to bring in that supernatural element, yes, it was a risk, but it elevated the movie. In a lot of ways.
I think it paid off. In my opinion, I think
Great.
it worked so well.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw it in theaters. It was a great movie. I really enjoyed it, and to kind of go with the mask, like always changing the mask. You never really could. I could never really figure out like why is he changing it? Like sometimes the face is smiling, frowning. Sometimes it didn't even have a mouth.
If I remember correctly, I feel like those masks represented where he was in his mental space at the
that's
time.
kind of
right. Like I don't know, but I think that was the case.
It was kind of left for you to judge. But it was just an interesting dynamic. But good movie, good pick. That was a great pick.
I want to say something about this.
Scott Derrickson was the director.
That's underrated. This one falls under like underrated.
I agree.
For sure.
I'm not bullshitting when I say this. When we watched it, it was the first movie that got me like on the edge of my fucking seat.
Me too. In
For
a
some
while,
reason,
a long while, yeah.
What part?
Everything, like even the problems that the kids had at home with their dad and shit. That was kind of like unsettling.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the kid who gets trapped, fucking like he's trying to like I'm trying like he does some digging, right?
Yeah.
That's like the first time seeing a kid being like trying to escape,
trying to use their head to get out.
Yeah, all that, everything.
Or didn't at one point he was gonna escape, and then the grabber's like sleeping in the kitchen or whatever.
Oh
man,
yeah, he does escape.
That was so chilling.
Dude. Yeah.
Dude, like I said, even at the end when the kid, doesn't he fucking kick him in the fucking face?
Yeah, and he falls into
everything.
Hole,
everything. I was like cheering. That was the first movie I did all of that.
And I feel like he was doing that. All of it was not just him killing him. Like it was all those other victims that gave him like use this and didn't do that. And it's like
well, even his like best friend, the kid that looked out for him in the beginning. You know, you kind of felt for him because the main character is bullied, and then you have this friend who stands up for him, that does right, and he's like tough. He's like this badass kid, and then to find out that he's gone.
He's also one of the victims.
And he's a victim, and you know that is unsettling too. You know, so and then to be a victim, to be bullied, and then to rise up
and be the survivor.
Yeah.
It's
like
great.
The first movie I was like just screaming at the fucking screens, like God damn it! Like when he got captured again, it's like. Like everything, unsettling and like cheering and all of it. What's all these emotions?
Yeah.
So. And I will say too, Ethan Hawke does not get enough credit as an actor. You know,
I agree.
He is. You know, we talk about underrated horror movies. He is an underrated actor. You know, and he's the reason why this movie is so fucking good. Sinister as well.
I want to ask the same question as what he told me about It Follows. You think it's gonna work?
A sequel?
Yeah.
If they do it with like another serial killer and something like similar to that,
They need a prequel though.
Oh, is it a prequel?
I think it's a prequel.
I thought it was just a straight up sequel. In that case, I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
Right? I think it was a prequel because he's dead, ain't he?
He's dead. Yeah, he's definitely dead. Yeah. It's a good number 2. Josh,
yeah, really good. That's a great pick.
God damn,
that might be the most underrated pick.
On this list. Like,
that might be the most underrated. I think that is the definition of underrated for everything you just said.
I feel like
the
Barbarian
movie
was the most underrated.
I know that one's got me. I haven't seen it, but for the one I've seen, you know.
Yeah, no, they're all of them.
Sorry, like even like if you just put the Barbarian trailer, it doesn't even.
Oh,
you're right.
my God.
Like
it doesn't even reveal anything.
It's just fucking like great.
Nothing.
Fucking sorry.
Yeah. All right. Well, Eric, what's your number 2, man?
Well, my number 2 was Prince of Darkness, so we tag teamed that one together.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
So then you flip flop. What was your number 3 for your number 2 now then?
Well, I got through So to recap, my number 5 was The Ruins. Then
We're on number 1 right now.
Yeah, now we're on number 1. So it was Event
Oh,
Horizon,
number
The
one,
Fly,
okay.
and then we just did it together.
That's right.
Oh,
Okay.
wait. So we're number 1.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
because
on
Prince of
number
Darkness
one.
was his third. So then it would have
yeah.
gone to me for 2, but we just did it together and went right to Alberta.
So then, before you get any number 1, then
Yeah.
your honorable mentions or mention, huh?
Honorable mention. I will honorably mention The Dark Half.
The Dark Half.
I believe it's
Also
called The
not
Dark Half. This is the film. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it's about a guy it starts off, I believe, with a boy, and he's getting all these headaches. He can't figure out why, and they give him surgery, and they open up his skull, and there's like an eyeball in there.
What the fuck?
Okay, so yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'll kind of leave it there, and it starts to go down this weird path of I don't want to say it because it kind of ruins it because it doesn't tell you until the end. But it starts with that this kid, he's getting these headaches. It's an old. Let me look it up real quick. It's
Dark Half.
Sounds a lot like Malignant.
Oh.
This is an older
does.
movie.
Yeah.
This is 1993.
But I'm sure it takes itself serious.
This is George A. Romero is the director.
Oh, okay.
George A. Romero.
Yeah.
Okay.
George A. Romero, The Dark Half.
Dark Half. Okay.
So I can't really go any further than that. It's also a Stephen King
Really?
novel. So The Dark Half. I'll leave it at that. I really can't go any further than that, or I'm going to ruin
that's
it.
a great.
So that's my honorable mention. The Dark Half.
You got another one? We can do another one. Or you
No, I think that's kind of the only one that's on top of my mind. That's like where I'm thinking underrated. It's
Okay.
a Stephen King, George Romero, very interesting movie. It's a very different horror movie. It's not one that I've. I don't know how to categorize it. I don't know if I don't think slasher or it's just real fucking weird.
Okay.
Okay, so
Well, before we get to number 1, this is number 1, guys. So
So wait, we're doing honorable mentions?
we're gonna do honorable
okay.
mentions, but we are heading to number 1. Also, I didn't say this at the beginning of the podcast. Spoilers for all these. Sorry, too late, but
God damn it.
spoilers
Should be a
for all of
given.
these
Should
movies.
always
Yeah.
be a given.
just put it in the title.
Right? There you go. Yeah. Put it on the title.
Spoilers for this. Okay, Eric, what is your number 1 underrated horror film?
Ooh, let's go around on all.
Oh, honorable mentions
Honorable
first.
mentions.
All right,
Or-
that's
no, I don't wanna
that's
change
good.
it up.
I like that. I
Yeah,
actually like
let's-
that. Let's keep the suspense
Yeah,
for
I
number
want to
1.
hear your guys's before we get to the number ones.
I got 2 honorable mentions.
That's good. Good.
The first one is Tusk.
Okay, no, I'm good with that.
That one that is one of my
Barbarian.
the prequel to Barbarian. Yes. Well, I don't know how to be a prequel if you know.
Or maybe a sequel.
Sequel, yeah. But no, Tusk. That one I saw in theaters. I was there for the inception for this film, listening to the podcast or Smodcast with him and Scott Mosier, just coming up with this idea, and then seeing it come to fruition and seeing it on screen. The whole buildup of what this fucking monster's gonna look like. I think we're like the only 2 people in the theater to see this, right?
Yeah, we
We're the only 2 people on opening night to watch
Shut the
it.
fuck up. It was an empty theater.
It was an empty fucking theater. It was just me and Edgar watching.
Only a Kevin Smith movie,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. I'm a diehard Kevin Smith fan.
Yes, sir.
Just excellent dialogue with Justin Long and Michael Parks.
Yep.
Kevin Smith knocked out of the fucking park with this one, I think. Like, if he ever does more horror movies, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I think he did a great job in this one. I know that it's like, towards the end, it starts to kind of fall apart a bit, you know, but like, it's just the build up where Michael Parks is like giving this story about the walrus and how he met Ernest Hemingway and all that. Just everything, just the build up was so fucking great. I think Kevin Smith knocked out of the park with that one. So that one is one of my honorable mentions.
Well, hold on. Towards the end, they play the podcast.
Yeah, they played the snippet of the podcast when they came up with the idea. Yeah, it was like, what is it? Hashtag Tusk yes. No,
yeah.
Walrus yes, or hashtag Walrus no.
Yeah.
I feel like that movie was created on the cusp of Human Centipede in a lot of ways.
But didn't Human Centipede come out first?
Yeah.
Didn't it?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
came
yeah.
out. I mean, then like Kevin Smith's like,
Kinda
I'm gonna
preceded it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna do my own type of.
Yeah.
No, well,
And
the thing is, it was an actual fucking.
it was an actual Craigslist. Like, yeah.
And they were reading off of it, and that's it sounds like
That
a
sounds
horror
like
movie.
a fucking good horror movie. Yeah.
So
How's the dialogue?
In Tusk. it's definitely Kevin Smith like dialogue. Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. He knows how to write for Michael Parks before he passed away. Like with Red State and then Tusk, like
Another underrated movie.
Yeah, I agree. And then the other one, I debated on putting this one. I told Josh about it, but Saw 6 is on this one. Also an honorable mention. I was telling Josh, like, it's so hard to mention another sequel in such a long-running franchise because, like, everyone must have clocked out after, like, the first one or the second one. But, like, honestly, like, for real, Saw 6 is one of the better ones out of all of them.
No, I agree.
You know? Like, Saw X, personally, I love Saw X, but, like, I know a lot of people are not going to fucking see it because they're already... you know what you're getting yourself into if you're watching a Saw movie. But with Saw X, the premise of it being like John Kramer going after the medical insurance people and how they kind of prey on victims and how they choose who lives or dies, and he kind of flips it back on them. Like, that's such a great fucking... That's what sold people with this one. Like, oh, that's great. Like, these people actually deserve to be put in traps and get killed. One standout trap is the carousel trap, where these people, these employees who work for the head of the insurance company are all having to plead for their lives, as one would who is in a situation who's trying to get like medical insurance, and the main character has to like choose who lives or dies, and who dies gets killed with the fucking shotgun blast. Jesus. With this carousel trap, and it's just such a nail biter. It's perfect.
You said you were telling me that it brought back like more heart elements.
Yeah,
right?
I think so too. Yeah, it's a lot more. It plays a lot more like with the first one in terms of like just suspense and building up the suspense. If you watch it just for that and you don't give a fuck about the side plot, you're gonna enjoy Saw 6. So that's my honorable mention.
All right, I got two also, but they fall in line with the cheesiness.
Okay,
but in a good way. And I told you this too, so and I can't believe no one had it in their list or thought of it. Yeah,
two of them. Okay.
First one is Drag Me to Hell.
Oh man, I love that movie.
Drag Me to Hell.
Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I guess not. No, yeah, I was about to say that's his first actual horror film, but not.
No.
This is the cusp after Spider-Man. So.
Yep. Came out after Spider-Man 2, right?
2, 3,
yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, he's just what a fucking movie. And at the same time, it's kind of like
it definitely is cheesy.
Yeah.
Like the goat scene.
The goat scene.
Yeah.
It's a fucking bit.
You can tell he was like, this is kind of like Evil Dead. And
he's going back to basics with this one, yeah. And Justin Long is in that movie too.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
All these.
I hear it's another sequel. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
It's rumored. I don't know, but I don't. Have you guys seen it?
It's been a long time.
Okay.
But I think I've seen it.
The one thing I love about Sam Raimi, I apologize, is that everyone has like a certain like Kevin Smith's dialogue. Sam Raimi is the king of cheese.
You're right.
And he executes it so well, like in Evil Dead, in Drag Me to Hell, and things like that.
Like that scene where the old lady comes in and wants an extension in her house. I think that's the whole thing.
Yep.
And that whole lead up to that scene is like she wants to get the promotion. And the boss is like, you gotta be more fucking,
aggressive.
Like an asshole, basically. Yeah. Say no to these people. Mm-hmm. And who she says it to this old lady, right?
Puts a fucking curse
then puts a curse on her.
Yeah.
And just fucking crazy shit happens, you know? And the ending was fucking like...
The ending was... I was, I think, 11 or 12 when I saw it. That kind of... was burned in my image.
She actually gets fucking dragged
to hell. Yeah.
I honestly didn't even know that was a Sam Raimi movie until it ended.
Oh really?
Oh really?
I remember watching it. I rented it and I enjoyed the fuck out of it. And I'm like watching it and I was like, this feels familiar in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And then like I finished it and then it was like directed by Sam. I was like, fuck yeah, fuck yeah,
makes sense. Yes. All right.
All right, this one, we always keep talking about it, right?
Prince of Darkness.
And it falls in the... I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
If you guys... just the way you guys told me with Prince of Darkness and you haven't seen it and all this shit, you know, this is how I feel about this film too. Okay. In the beginning, it's like Eric said it. I can't understand why people can just like turn it off right away, because it's a hard fucking sell in the beginning, but it's a payoff towards the end. If you fucking just One Cut of the Dead.
Oh my god. Have you seen it?
No, never heard of it.
I've never heard of it either. What, One Cut of the Dead?
Yes.
One Cut of the Dead. We sold Maurice on this, a fellow
It pops up right away.
guest on our podcast. We showed him we had to sit him down and watch it with him, and he was sold. One Cut of the Dead.
Okay, I've seen this. I've seen the cover.
Yeah.
I've seen the cover with the guy with the
Camera, I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you haven't
Not
seen
watched
it. You haven't seen it.
Okay.
The thing
Oh
that
my
sold me,
God.
because you guys already know, if you listen to the podcast, the number one film of all time is Shaun of the Dead.
Yep.
That's a great movie. Dude.
I feel like it's its own genre. No one seems to fucking touch it, right?
Yeah.
Like the balance of horror and comedy.
But this one comes close.
Comes close.
Comes close to being the next like Shaun of the Dead.
Right? Like I said, the first, I want to say 30 to 40 minutes, it's very, very slow.
It's very and it's also kind of like what is
Going on.
What is going
Kinda
on
like
here?
with
It you know what, it's like badly like shot too.
Mm-hmm.
The first like 30 to 40 minutes goes like, what the fuck is going on? Like they're trying to make a like, is this a zombie movie? It's not that great. What's going on? And then it peels back a layer, and then you're like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. And then it peels back another layer, and they're like, are you fucking kidding me? This was all intentional from the beginning.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to like.
And you're just like, this is fucking genius.
It's ingenious the way.
First you're like, this movie's terrible, and then you're like, okay, I see where you're going here, and then you're just like, I'm in love. I'm in love. It's
Just-
it's a good movie.
I like that's a good way to like sell this one too. It's like I can see why people like don't not love it.
They
but,
don't
like,
buy into it
right
They don't
away.
buy into it,
But
yeah.
if you fucking just pull through, it fucking
you gotta
pays
power
off.
through. You really gotta power through that first half hour.
Yeah.
because it's like even telling you more about the plot, I think would give it away.
Yeah, it's just to
One Cut of
me,
the Dead is good.
it's one of my favorites,
Yeah,
and it's
good.
like to me, it really is like underrated. No one
agree
seems
with
to.
these two. I haven't seen
Yeah,
it. So. Yeah,
That's got me
Yeah.
interested. I want to say I actually did try to watch it one time,
and it's kind
and I
of.
maybe got through 5 minutes.
Yeah, see?
You know what I mean? I feel like I clicked on this movie
yeah.
because it was rated well,
Yeah, it is.
and then I was like, what? And then, but this was a long time ago, so my memory has just faded about it. But now, I think I'm going to grind through.
No, like I was
So-
like, what the fuck? I'm going to turn this off because, like you said, it was received well. It has that tagline, like the best horror film since Shaun of the Dead.
I'm not joking around. Okay, like I don't want to put Maurice on blast here, but he fell asleep on the first 20 minutes of the movie, and then he woke up, and then he's like, his eyes were glued to the fucking screen, because that just shows you like the first 20 minutes is kind of rough, but once you see like what's kind of cooking underneath, oh man, you're gonna want to rewatch it right after.
No, it's a rewatch.
You're gonna want to
after
rewatch
see.
it right after. So, One Cut of the Dead is a good one. Josh, what's your honorable mention or mentions?
I have a few. I'm going to speed run them. So, first one, I thought about putting it in my top 5, but I couldn't because they came out with a prequel. You and I talked about this movie, Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
Here's a-
Rosemary's Baby. They came out with a prequel called Apartment 7A,
Is it 7C or something?
7C. Fuck, I'm not.
I didn't know there was a prequel.
Paramount
Yeah,
Plus,
me neither.
right?
It's on Prime. Amazon Prime.
I've watched the original.
You
Great.
know, and the prequel that just came out, it's actually it's about the girl that ends up killing herself. In Rosemary's Baby, they meet a girl that lives in the apartment with them, and they become friends. And then out of nowhere, she like jumps out the window and she kills herself. They don't know why. Right, and they talk about her in the prequel. Okay, but this movie is so unsettling. Obviously, they chose her to be the
the lead for this one. Right?
Excuse me, say again.
For you're saying they chose her for the lead in this movie, or what were you gonna say?
No. They chose Rosemary.
Oh, okay.
To bear the child of the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And then you spoke to me about, we agreed that they don't even talk about the devil.
Yeah, there's no reference to it. Yeah, no, because Roman Polanski was not a religious guy, so it's like not alluded one way or the other. It's just
right.
Just
but and then all this weird shit happens. Obviously, it's a fucking cult.
Mm-hmm.
They're Satanists. And what makes it so disturbing is that she goes through with it.
Yeah. Which is just like the fuck, right. It's like, yeah.
You're gonna bore the baby of the devil, right?
So why go through with it?
Yeah, and she goes through with it, So, that's on there. I don't want to go too much into that. 1408.
Oh,
good one.
Yes.
2007.
Yes, that's a good one.
I was actually gonna put that on my top 5, but
yeah.
I really couldn't. And Stephen King.
Another
Stephen King movie, man.
And what sells it to me is John Cusack, man. He is fucking terrified throughout this entire movie.
He sells it so well, man.
And
the music is so fucking unsettling.
The music is great. Samuel Jackson has a small role, and he's a fucking weirdo too.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing about Samuel Jackson is he can play such a small role, but you remember him.
Yeah, he's so iconic in it. Yeah. When I go to work and they send me out of state, and I sit in the hotel, there is something legitimately creepy about being in a hotel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, but John Cusack's performance is amazing.
The cool thing about that is he's a skeptic. He doesn't.
Yes.
Skeptic.
So but he believes it.
Yeah.
Looking at him.
No,
I think he's not a podcaster, right? He's like
he's an author. He's a writer.
Yeah, he's a writer. Yeah.
Just as any other Stephen King is.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And they use that. What's that song? Like, we only just begun.
Yeah,
like they just use that so fucking well throughout the movie. It's great.
There's the scene when he looks out the window and he sees himself.
Yeah.
Too.
And he doesn't he pull up the lamp and then is it the guy with the hammer that comes out? Or, Oh man,
dude, I gotta watch that one. Yeah,
it's a good one, dude.
And then you brought this one up. I thought about bringing this on my top 5.
I was just joking,
Mike Flanagan's Hush.
Oh,
2016.
Good one too. That's a good one.
And that's an indie movie.
That's finally getting a physical release too.
Is it really?
Finally getting a physical release.
Dude,
so fucking good. So fucking good. Mute deaf lady wants to just write her book, right? She's writing a book, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and she's in the woods and she's fucking being stalked by this killer. No reason whatsoever, wearing a mask, toying with her, Yeah, and
there's I like that premise of like her being like deaf and everything like that. They're doing another movie. I forget what it's called, but it's about a lady who has to she gets paralyzed every 15 minutes if she doesn't take her medication, and I think she's also being stalked by a serial killer. And it's the whole premise is every time she's about to get away, it acts up and she gets.
Oh, okay.
So it's another kind of similar thing to Hush of an impaired.
Oh no, right. You just go. I was gonna go to another tangent here.
But such a fucking classic. And what's fun about that movie too is Mike Flanagan. Obviously, his wife is the main character.
Yeah.
They actually acted it out at their house.
No, yeah.
That's how they created the script.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
And that's so fun that you have your wife on board with everything that you're doing.
She's in Midnight Mass.
She's in
a Haunting of Hill House.
Yes.
She's in fucking everything.
Yes.
She just knocks out of the
She
park.
is his biggest supporter.
Yep.
And my last one, Stephen King's 1922.
Oh, I've
Seen that.
I've heard things about this.
It's a Netflix film.
Oh, God,
and it is so fucking good. Thomas James.
Thomas Jane.
Performance.
Jane
is so fucking good. He is this. He owns land. He owns a farm, and his wife has been talking him into selling it and moving to the city because that's just what everybody's doing. But he refuses to do that. And I don't know. Should I?
Give us a little more, just a little more, Josh.
So he ends up actually killing her. Okay, and this is early in the movie, and all this weird shit happens during this whole event, and you don't know if it's a psychological thing because of what he's done,
or if it's like really,
or it's spiritual.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very, very. I don't want to say confusing, but it really leaves you trying to figure out what's going on with that.
He is so fucked up because he's so prideful of this land. He obviously kills his wife, and he dumps her body in a fucking like well that's like right next to the house. You know, and then the rats keep coming and they're eating the bodies and stuff like that. And there's like scenes where like people are walking the farm, they're like by the well, and then he's like hoping that they don't like
find the
and like the tension and
it's like this guilty conscience just weighing on him.
That's perfect.
It's a depressing movie, dude. This is like a slow depression.
It kind of reminds me of Silent Hill.
It kind of does. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
okay. You sold me on that one.
1922. All right.
You know what's crazy is I thought about putting Silent Hill on my list.
The adaptation. Are you being for real? I was
serious.
going to actually too.
Yeah.
I was really gonna do it.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like that is probably one of the greatest video games movies of all time.
I agree.
As long as you don't kind of connect it with the game.
No,
it's weird. It's weird. It's like it's a great adaptation on its own, but once you start kind of like, well, how does this connect to, like, no, you don't think about that. Like, you just, no, I agree.
Do you like the idea of the mother instead of the father?
Yeah, I think it made more sense. I think.
I agree.
It's the mother. I think that should. Yeah. I but Sean Bean was good in that movie too.
Just in the background.
Yeah. Just trying to like, what the fuck is happening? Where's my wife? Yeah.
And he lived.
Yeah.
He usually dies and everything. It was good to see him live at the end of that movie.
Yeah, but is he really living though, Josh? Is he really living though? That's a great.
That's my quick run of my.
Well.
Yeah.
We've reached the final film. We're gonna go around and give our number one. Yeah, it's the final countdown.
All right,
Eric, what is your number one most underrated horror film?
So my number one is going to be based probably more around guilty pleasure, more so than an underrated. So I've always been very attracted to found footage films. And my number one is going to go to VHS. I'm a huge fan of the kind of short stories. Anthologies, right. That's what I was looking for. The anthology, but it's like these quick little stories that don't have a ton of background to what's going on. And it's just like a weird, you got to kind of put the pieces together in your head, and then it's over and it's on to the next. And I thought that VHS, like when I grew up, I really liked Creepshow and like Tales from the Crypt. So when VHS came around, I think it had been a while since there was really any good anthology. I know found footage had been kind of a thing with like paranormal activity. I felt like VHS really took it up a notch, like really cranked it up.
Yeah.
Thought it was filmed well, that it looked really good with the, I don't know if like saying that the CGI or what, I don't know what they did, but it looked really good. And I was a big fan of the predecessor, the second one. Really loved the entire saga. I don't think some of the following were as good, but it does open up like this vast, endless possibilities. You can kind of just keep going with these films, but the first one particularly I really enjoyed. Again, it's more of a guilty pleasure. Really like it. There's horror, there's science fiction, there's all kinds of different things kind of in a melting pot clashing together. And I like how they kind of film the in-between scenes of the guys like putting in the tapes, and then each time like they cut back.
There's a story within the story.
There's a story within the story of these guys, like you don't really know what they're looking for, and there's always something changing. Like they kind of are getting picked off one by one. I feel like some of the later VHS films really lost that element, so they're not quite as good. But
that has a good following too, actually.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a guilty pleasure. I feel like that's a good underrated.
Yeah, I really
choice.
Yeah, I think VHS is great. So
I don't know if that one with the succubus, that's its own movie now. So yeah.
No, you agree.
What is that film called?
I think it's called Succubus. I think.
I don't even know if
I think that's
really
what it's called. But it became its own thing. That
was probably the best part of that. Yeah,
I think that was the opening.
Yeah.
I think it was the
really?
opening
The
one.
opening?
Yeah, I think it was the opening one. Like they find the girl and they're like, she's kind of weird, but they're just like kind of drunk. Yeah, come back.
It's also just like such a great kind of like sandbox for other directors to kind of jump in and kind of like let loose and make their own thing.
Shit, hold on. I don't know if it's the last one or the two. Fuck it. The director of what's his name? Scott Erickson, Dickerson
from Sinister.
He made one. I don't know which one it is.
Gareth Evans did one too.
Oh, Gareth Evans
from The Raid, yeah.
Okay, but the one that Scott did, I don't know if it's no, it's Scott. They said it was one of the best ones out of that movie.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know which one it is, but if you just look up his name, it might tell you which short story he did. Mm-hmm. So
I thought the sequel was really good.
Oh, VHS 2, yeah.
Yeah, the second one I thought it had a really good follow-up sequel. So it's not often you see a really good sequel. Sequels are scary, man, and any it doesn't matter if it's horror or what it doesn't. You just gotta kind of like, oh, here we go. Are we gonna ruin something great? So thought the sequel was really good, but again, VHS. There's a lot of like kind of endless. You can kind of keep going. I know they're bringing out VHS 8 next year. I would like to see them get back to their roots where they have like the story within the story, like a little bit of mystery. I would like to see something like that because the later ones kind of lose that, and you're really relying on like the short stories to nail it, to hit a home run, and some of them just don't on the later films. But that's it.
That's a good one. VHS
classic,
underrated classic.
Yeah.
My number one, you already know what this one is.
It's just inspired Silent Hill.
Silent Hill 2. Mm-hmm. Jacob's Ladder is my number one.
Wow. Funny.
Is that your number one?
No. Didn't we just talk about that? Didn't I ask you about that movie?
I did.
Was that really already your top?
Yeah. I had to play it up when you were saying that. I was like, that is my number one.
Did he tell you about this conversation?
No, he didn't. He didn't tell me the conversation. No.
Mm-mm. Well, that is my number one. Is Jacob's Ladder.
Eric, seen it or no?
I've not seen Jacob's Ladder. I know about it. I've heard of this movie.
Such a mindfuck.
Yeah.
Movie.
Yeah. No, talk about a mindfuck. It feels like a fever dream. It feels like when you're sick and you're like going through the sweats, and then you're like sleeping, and then you're waking up, and it's like you're kind of lucid, and you're like, that's what this movie is. That's exactly what this movie is. And it is like, I don't know, it really affected me in a way that I didn't expect it to. So what it's about is Jacob, is this Vietnam soldier, right, who, it opens up with him and his squadron, or his platoon or whatever, they've already kind of been in the shit, and they're just kind of hanging out, and they take a puff of like this of a marijuana or whatever, and they all start to fucking lose it. They all start to kind of hallucinate from having taken this drug, and they end up getting like ambushed by the enemy. And just imagine how fucking like distressful that is. Like, some of them are like freaking out, some of them don't know what they're doing, they're paralyzed, other ones are running away. It's just like such a jarring intro, and then it just cuts to Jacob gets stabbed by an enemy, and he ends up like looks like he's about to die, and it cuts to the present time, and he's in the subway, and he's just headed home, and you kind of don't know what's real and what isn't. You're just like, is he dead? Is he alive? What's happening here? And it actually, so it's a loose adaptation, I think, of the book of the Book of Dead, right? The Tibetan Book of the Dead.
I was going to say Dante's Inferno.
That too. Yeah. That too. But it's essentially just Jacob trying to, like, he's just in denial that he's dead, and you're just essentially just watching him kind of descend into this like spiral of just what is real, what isn't. He's an unreliable narrator. You don't know what's really happening. There's a moment where he wakes up and he's with his actual wife, and he had a dream that he was with
Like
with Jezebel, I think her name is.
Yeah.
But it's like that happens in the future. This is a flashback, isn't it? And it's just so fucking jarring, so bizarre.
It's all over the place.
It's all over the place, but it kind of works.
Yes.
You know, and
yes.
it's the imagery, dude. This disturbing fucking imagery too. You've seen it, right? Like the head that's like all fucking
like distorted,
shaking and shit like that.
Like the party during the whole
Yeah,
party
during
and
the
stuff.
party
Yep.
too. Yeah.
Yep.
But what I love about this movie is that it's not just a horror film. I think it's also a film that, if you really take it for what it is, kind of helps you cope with death. You know, it's like if you're someone who's like deeply afraid of death, watch Jacob's Ladder. I think by the end of it, you'll be transformed, and you're kind of left being like at peace with the idea of death. And my favorite part, and I had to write it down. There's a moment in the movie, I think, where Jacob's like this chiropractor, and he's like getting like an adjustment or whatever, and his doctor or whatever, people allude that he's like an angel to Jacob. And he tells him this. He says, the only thing that burns in hell is the part of you that won't let go of your life. Your memories, your attachments, they burn away, but they're not punishing you. They're freeing your soul. And it's like this idea of ego, right? Like if you just let go, then the demons that you see in your life, they're not really demons, they're angels. And they're freeing you from your mortal coil. When it comes time to meet your maker, it's like you have to strip away the ego. You have to strip away everything that you hold on to. And it's like, that's just so fucking poignant. So it's not just a horror film that like fucking just deeply unsettling. It's also just like a film that makes you accept the idea of death. You know, and I don't think a movie has ever done that. So for that reason alone, that's my number one.
It's also a movie that you have to watch multiple times.
You have to,
You can't watch it the first time to understand it. You have to watch it multiple times to really understand what it's about, what it's coming from, and that's good. That's a great choice, man.
That's my number one, dude. Jacob's Ladder. It's fucking.
Has Josh said his?
Have you?
No.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was Eric and then me.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's just
What's
funny.
your number one?
We just talked about that movie. I just asked you about that movie.
Yeah. I know. When you were telling me, I was like, oh shit.
Because I asked him, I was like, what's the definition of like a horror movie and blah 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 blah. And I was like, would you consider Jacob's Ladder a horror movie? And obviously he was like, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. In the same scope, I want to say that too. Is the movie I'm about to say, is it a horror movie? Because it also falls into psychological. Is The Crow, City of Angels.
I thought you were going to say Silence of the Lambs, actually.
No, this one really is also, it's unsettling in some moments.
I think every moment, dude.
Well, I'll get to it. So this, it's The Exorcist 3.
The Exorcist 3?
Yeah.
Have you guys seen The Exorcist?
I've never seen the
You
third
never
one.
seen The Exorcist 3?
I've only seen the first one.
Yep, same. Only the first.
That's what I was telling you earlier. Like, if you're a hardcore fan of horror, you're always looking for fucking obscure shit, right? Mm-hmm. And and the thing I think why people haven't seen Exorcist 3 is, the first one is
just a masterpiece. Yeah.
Then you see the fucking piece of shit sequel, right? And that's where people just fall off, right? But this one is the same fucking team as the
This
original.
this is the direct sequel to the first one.
Yes.
Not the second one. The third one is the
It's
second
the
one.
direct sequel.
Yeah.
And I think the same writer who did the actual book came and helped. And like I said, it's the whole fucking team from the original.
Yep.
Which you can fucking tell.
Yeah.
It just follows... Fuck. It's in that same area where the first one took place. I don't know. It's in Washington, right? Or something.
Like, yeah.
And it follows killer, the Gemini killer.
The Gemini killer, yep.
There's this, which he kills people in a satanic ritual way. And it follows this detective who's trying to uncover this shit. And And it kind of connects to the father
Of the first one, right?
of the first one, who fell off the fucking window and all that. He's in this insane asylum, and they're trying to think I think he's the killer.
He's a Gemini killer. Yeah.
But how he's in this
He's
insane
in. Yeah.
asylum?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to give out the story. You guys haven't seen it, but it goes more into that. But oh my god, it's just like. If you want to talk about it? Or?
So look, the reason why I think it's a great pull and why you guys should watch it, it has one of the greatest jump scares in horror movie history. Period. I'll give you the setup. It's a wide shot. It's in a hospital, and nothing's happening, and all you're seeing is this nurse kind of just walk around and checking rooms, and she goes into one room, and she comes out. She goes to another one. And she goes into this one room, and you feel like, all right, what the fuck is going on in the scene? She's just checking on patients. She comes out, and then the wide shot punches into like a close up, and what you see, fucking like it really, it's a shock to the system. Dude, like it really is. Oof. Hearing the sound cue too is like
the sound cue, yeah.
Oh my god! Watch that. Jump scare. If you put just Exorcist 3 jump scare, you will know. It's like the first one that pops up. Watch that. That's what the movie is just throughout. Mm-hmm. Throughout the whole fucking runtime. And I think it was nominated too for like an award, right?
For the actor.
Who played the father, yeah.
Well, I'll get to that later, but like there's a lot of scenes like that, when the detective goes into the church, like you said, the statues.
Mm-hmm.
They look normal, and when he's leaving the church, they're fucking like
they look demonic.
They're demonic,
yeah.
Like little subtle things like behind, like the shots of every of the film is just like you got to pay attention because it's fucking creepy.
Yeah, no, it's
like he goes to a nursing home. Same thing too. Like there's an overshot of him, right, and. The fucking old lady's crawling.
Oh yeah, she's crawling on the fucking ceiling, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, know it. Like stuff like that. It's just like it's fucking great.
It's very hereditary too, like in that sense too. Yeah, no, Exorcist.
And there's actual exorcist at the end.
Yeah, there is.
But no, it's like everything about it. So it's disturbing. That's I don't say.
It's disturbing. Yeah, no.
You know,
it is.
The guy who played Chucky was the original actor. But I forgot what was going on, so they replaced him with the actual father from the first.
From the first one, yeah.
So
he reprised his role, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how they do that, like the actual killer thing. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a cool little element, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to give it away because it's, you know.
I feel, yeah, that's a good stopping point for that. Yeah, Exorcist 3 is good.
It was like it had a lot of trouble doing the production. Like I said, I forgot his name, but the guy who voiced Chucky and all that was in there, and they had I don't know what's going on. It's supposed to be a longer film and all this, and it was just a whole fucking thing. But overall, it's really good. Like you said,
I can't believe you guys haven't seen The Exorcist 3. That's
I refuse to watch anything after the original Exorcist movie.
I implore you.
That's a good.
I implore you to watch 3.
So could you watch 3 without having to watch 2?
No, you don't have to watch 2.
No, like I would say, this is a direct sequel from the.
You can go from
original.
1 to 3 and you're good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good to know.
It's genuinely, in all honesty, and I appreciate you saying that. It's just hard to watch a lot of like horror sequels.
See?
No, I agree.
You're not gonna expect much from them, and that's I appreciate that.
But Josh, you're gonna take us home, dude. What is your number 1 pick?
Scream 2.
Scream 1.
Okay, here we go again.
1996 Scream. Small independent Mexican film. Kronos, 1992, directed by Guillermo del Toro. This is actually his first movie.
That was
Robert Rodriguez.
No.
Mimic.
I thought it was a Mimic.
That came after this.
Okay. Kronos. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it takes place about a millionaire right? Gentleman in his 70s finds an artifact, okay? And supposedly this artifact, and he's obsessed in finding this artifact because it gives you eternal life. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And he finds it, uses it, and it does give you a little bit of body horror as well, because when he finds out, it actually stabs him, and he notices he starts changing and his skin starts to shed, but then he also has like a thirst for blood.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, and obviously he becomes a vampire.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Another
And
vampire movie.
Another classic vampire movie, and it is definitely a slow burn. It obviously has that Guillermo del Toro style in it as well, but it's one of those movies, talking about Prince of Darkness, with that slow burn, it makes you just feel so uncomfortable, and talking about like Jacob's Ladder too, we all fear death, and when we know that we're in the end of our timeline and we have nothing left, nothing more, right, we'll do anything to give that up, and when he finds this device, it gives him that.
It's like that, dilemma of how what are you willing to do to kind of, I don't know, to live forever, right? Is that
Yeah,
what it's like,
no,
like
absolutely. And what's the cost is he's actually sacrificing himself. The cost is selling your soul.
No.
And in order for him to stay young, he has to have that thirst of blood. And there's like this one disturbing scene too when the hunger starts and his skin starts to shed because he is getting younger. He kills a guy in the bathroom, because they're fighting for this artifact as well. So he accidentally kills this guy and his blood is all over the floor, and he finds himself on the floor face down in the bathroom, and he's just licking it.
Oh, man.
Just licking it off the floor of all places. And I accidentally found this movie because I'm a huge Guillermo del Toro fan, and I was on the hype train of, I wasn't a fan of Hellboy. Golden Army was, I love that movie so much. God, man, I'm not doing it justice now.
Explaining will probably give it to
the
you.
water, the
Shape of Water?
Shape of Water, Pan's Labyrinth, so I was like searching, like, what other movies should I find, and I found Kronos. And I'll do you one good. I rented this, only found it on YouTube.
Yeah, see, what I tell you.
And I was just so blown away from this, just because it's just how great of a director he is. How much of a fan he is of horror as well.
Oh yeah, master at horror, yeah.
And he's not looked at like so much as horror, I feel like, too.
It's like very fantasy.
Yeah, more fantasy than even his latest one that came out. What was that?
Wasn't it Pinocchio?
No. Before that, with Loki, Tom Hiddleston.
Crimson Peak?
Yeah, Crimson Peak.
yeah.
I didn't feel like was so much horror as well. It was more fantasy. I wasn't a fan of that. But that's his roots, and the fear of death, the fear of dying at a cost, of selling your soul, but then bringing like vampire elements into it too. Yeah. And I want to talk about the ending because it just shows that you get so desperate at a cost, and then it's a very unsettling ending, depressing ending. And Ron Perlman's in it too.
Oh, really? Is he like the main character? Or?
No, he plays this douche on the side, sleazy guy, and his Spanish is obviously extremely terrible, and he'll admit that he didn't know how to speak Spanish too.
Oh, okay. I gotta see it just for that. Now.
I know, but you gotta just watch it. I know I'm not really doing it much justice, but it's just such a fucking classic for being an independent film. In '92, by such a great director who just loves the genre, Damn. So highly recommend it. Very low budget, very small budget, very simple film, very unsettling as well.
All right. Damn. Kronos is Josh's number one. I think I'm impressed with everybody's list on this one. I think we all did a great job. I was kind of taken away by everyone's. Like, it's just all great picks. I hope people listening to this will check out any of these films that we mentioned. Thank you for listening. This is a lot longer than I expected also for this podcast, but I mean, I think we all had a great time. We can all agree on that. So, that'll do it for us, for Two Brothers and Friends. Let us know what your favorite underrated horror movie is, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of Two Brothers.